And then she's popped back up again, and she's being shared by Cory Booker, and that's the tweet that I sent you. So now we have Skeletard, the Caucasian Goblin, and now we have Politics Girl. I don't know. I don't even know what to call her yet. That's her at. She is anything but a politics girl. Again, she's really stupid. Now they're back. So now we have two of them that we have to listen to as memes and avatars of awfuls.
Now, did you send me that clip? Is it in my DM?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from Cory Booker. It's from Cory Booker. It's right
Yep,
there.
I got it right here. Okay. Just making sure this is the right.
So the Republicans are doing everything they can to blame the government shutdown.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm not trying to switch topics to the government shutdown. I just want you to, in the context of, we don't have one, but we now have two of these people.
Okay, so let's check this out here.
So the Republicans are doing everything they can to blame the government shutdown on the Democrats. But they could stop this whole thing tomorrow. All they need to do is negotiate with the Democrats to extend the ACA subsidies to protect America's access to affordable health care. Really shouldn't be that difficult. Shouldn't even be a question. But what they're saying is, listen, just open the government and then we'll negotiate with you after about healthcare. Sure. The party that just gutted Medicare, who have never supported the ACA, who in fact voted to destroy it over 70 times, the party that complains endlessly about the Democrats' health plans, but has never come up with an alternative. Those people are suddenly going to negotiate a health plan after they get what they want? Come on. If the Democrats do this, they're suckers, because the Republicans have made it abundantly clear that they have zero interest in having affordable health care for Americans. So they would just get to reopen the government with their brutal budget and destroy healthcare at the same time. So win-win for the profit-first sadists, lose for all of us. They could open the government tomorrow by just agreeing to protect the ACA subsidies. But they won't. They extended the tax cuts for the ultra-rich. No problem. But extending the subsidies for our healthcare? Not interested. So do not fall for the propaganda. There is one party to blame for this shutdown, but it sure as hell ain't the Democrats. So
Wow. Why she looks just like her. You know, and we've already got a commenter that says, you know, another raptor. Yes. Apparently we have released the raptors. And you know what's very strange? You notice all these women kind of look very similar to Abigail Spanberger. You notice that? I kind of picked up on that as well. What is with this? What is this a new wave of liberalism that they all have to look just like that? Is that something that's happening now? We're just going with the blonde hair, you know, older liberal females that are just apparently going to take over the Democrat Party. Is that what's happening now?
Well, I mean, if you're going to be the party of androgynous, zipper-chested, ugly, fat, slob females, if that's what the party you're going to be of, you cannot be attractive. So you have to make yourself as homely and as unattractive as possible. Otherwise, you won't gain any credibility. And that's my theory on this, because the moment that she actually like puts makeup on and looks better and works out and like doesn't say the most ridiculous, stupid shit that she could possibly drum up, she would immediately be called a maggot, like they do right now. She would be a MAGA. She'd be a MAGA whore or whatever they would say. And it's all because they have androgynous, ugly, weird, zipper-chested women on their side, so they can't go over them. You know, kudos for Anna Kasparian for actually looking good, at least. So yeah, that's another one. That's Raptor 2. But the OG of Raptors was Dr. Arlene, and this woman got laughed off the internet so hard in November of 2024 that she completely deleted her entire social media presence. She deleted her politics training course that she was selling, being a political analyst. And this is the OG of Raptors, Dr. Arlene.
Oh yes, this is an evergreen, like evergreen. If you guys never heard this before, like it's so fantastic.
Because the Raptors travel in threes, I needed to bring up Dr. Arlene.
That's right.
Okay, so we're closing in on almost 5 p.m. Eastern time, and I've been tracking everything that's been going on across the country today. And my most important encounter was when I went out to get my champagne. I was talking to the guy in the store, of course, asking him, did he vote? And he said he did early voting, and he asked me if I early voted. And he asked me, you know, why I was getting the champagne. And I said, because I'm going to be toasting Madam President tonight. And he just looked at me with kind of like a smirk on his face. And I said, you know, she's going to win this, right? And he says, oh, well, it's very, very close. And I said, no, it's not. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, no, it's not. The women of America are making their voices heard. Reproductive rights is what it all comes down to. And the women are voting in numbers relative to men that are unbelievable. She's won this. And I said to him, she's going to take every one of the swing states plus Iowa. And he said, oh, but the numbers are so close. I said, I'm a political analyst. I'm telling you right now, the numbers are there. She's taking this election. And then I said to him, you realize, and he didn't tell me who he voted for, but of course I knew. And I said, you do realize you wasted your vote, right? And I didn't care. And I walked out with my bottle of champagne and happily walked home. Bye-bye.
Oh, Dr. Arlene. I love this woman. That is such an evergreen, dude. I will play that anytime anybody sends that to me just because I just love watching it. Just the smug, I mean, you know, I'm a political analyst. It's so amazing to me. I've always loved that clip so much. It's just the best.
Did I ever show you the follow-up? Because there was a follow-up.
Yeah, I've listened to the follow-up. The follow-up is hysterical, but it's not as, it doesn't have that same sort of smugness. Like, she deleted everything, by the way. Like, she had like a reasonable following and she deleted all of it, and you know, she now when, yeah. The champagne.
Yeah. So
couple commenters. The champagne still isn't opened. Yes. No, she didn't open it.
Champagne has not been opened. So she would sell the political analyst classes. She was training people how to be political analysts. And what that means is, here's how you watch MSNBC and CNN and take notes, and then an analysis of what they're really saying behind what they're saying. And I mean, obviously that's foolish, really stupid things. The smugness, well, of course, I'm going to be toasting Madam President this evening. Bye-bye. And, you know, I just, listen, when I'm feeling down, you know, and you have a tough day, I would recommend everyone bookmark that. That's on my page. You can find it. I've been all over Dr. Arlene ever since election day, before it, leading up to it. But if you're ever having a bad day, just remember, these are the people that you're up against. Yeah, these are the people that you're actually up against.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. But I love that she brings it. This actually is a great segue into talking about the next section here. Because go ahead, Jen, and then we're going to play, because she was toasting Madam President, or who was supposed to be Madam President, who is currently on her book tour. And there are some great Kamala clips today that we can go over. So go ahead, Jen, and then we're going to play this next clip here.
That's literally what I was going to talk about. Have you guys seen the tell-all interviews that Kamala has done about her book tour?
Oh, yeah.
They're so bad.
Her and KJP both. We've been all over them all week. Her and KJP both. KJPs are bad too. Did you see the Political article on Karine Jean-Pierre? Oh my God.
Yes, no, Jen, you have to read that Politico article. It's so funny.
Jen, I'm gonna send it to you. They absolutely savagely. All right, they
because like what I saw Kamala, dude, like she's literally admitting crimes, like high crimes, like the kind where you're the second in command. The dude at the top, well, he don't even know that he's the dude at the top. He just wants his ice cream for the day. And you're like, oh, well, you know, I was very hurt by Joe and not letting me in quicker. Like,
amazing. Listen, the Kamala interviews have just been amazing. And Jen, we have been all over these, like the one where she was at Howard University. Like, this wasn't actually an interview. She just like was at a like random, you know, event at Howard University, and she walked up. They had to hold her up. She was so drunk. She could not stand. Like, she was like, you guys are the future of the world. You get the leaders here at Howard. Like, oh my God. Like, who lets you out like this? Like, my God. Like, you this is the most atrocious. And every single one of them. My favorite was the, we did the quick math on it. I think Trash did the math on it when she decided to tell everybody that she ran the closest presidential campaign in history in the 21st century. It was so amazing. That was so fantastic.
So she finished 7 of the top 8 of the last political elections in this century. I'm sorry, in this century.
Wait, was that finishing politicians or finishing the race? Just wondering.
No.
Finishing politicians, she slept her way.
Closest elections. No, can you hear me, Jen? Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I can hear you. I was
The
making a
claim that,
joke about finishing
yeah.
politicians' trash.
Oh no, yeah. She finished a lot of them, especially Lily Brown. But no, what I'm saying is that she made the claim that she had the closest election of any elections in this century, and actually ran numbers multiple times with different filters through several different large language models. And I came to the conclusion that she finished 7 of the last 8 elections in this century as the closest. So 7th of 8 of the closest.
Yes, amazing stuff. It really was incredible. By the way, Trash, your audio is cutting out like every 25 seconds or so.
It's doing it for you too. It's doing it for everybody. I
Oh,
think it's you. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's
It's
the
been
I
doing
think
it
it's
for you the
the
whole time.
I think it's the space then, because I mean I'm not hearing any problem on the stream or anything like that. So, but anyway, here, so this is this clip I wanted us to play here. So this is another great Kamala. You know, she's pretty hammered in this one as well. I'm not sure how much wine she has in this tumbler that she has on the table here, but just listen to this. This is great. It's a couple minutes here.
The debate that came before with Biden and Trump, it was so apparently clear that this was not okay. Yeah. And it felt like the whole of the Democratic side of politics was pretending everything was okay. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my observation from the UK. I was like, why are they all pretending everything's fine? But this was clearly an individual that was very much struggling with articulation, with ideas. Yeah. And in the face of someone like Trump, who, to his credit, is able to pounce on that, to be very quick.
And he interestingly enough, because of course I watched that debate very closely for many, many reasons, including I had 4 interviews right after his debate.
Okay.
To speak on behalf of the president during the debate. And what was interesting in that debate was also to watch how it's a very rare circumstance that you see Donald Trump actually moderate. It was fascinating.
You must have known. You sat there. Well, you were in LA at the time, right?
I was in LA at the Fairmont Hotel.
Watching.
And
what was going on?
Taking vigorous notes. I had ordered, like they had a little crudité plate, and I was like, no, this is a pizza night. I ordered pizza for everyone. I had a number of people with me, but I had a tight group of people with me in the room. He called me from debate camp. Mm-hmm. The president did, Biden did. And I could tell something was a little off. And I was concerned about, I don't think he wanted to debate, is my point. He didn't want that debate. That's really good.
Trump's
That's really
strategy
good.
Is he leads with...
That's exactly right.
He's a master labeler, Sleepy Joe. He can't...
is very gifted. Don't discount the guy in terms of that.
How do you beat someone playing that game?
You have to be relentless on focusing on what's actually happening.
Does that work?
And it means also deconstructing so that, one of the things, for example, that I've been talking about recently is there's a word that applies so well to him in this era, which is a phrase, gaslighting.
So there you go. I love this clip here, though, because this is incredible. What she says there, she says, well, the idea is that Kamala Harris, she's going to be the ones to talk about how you achieve victory over top of Trump, and it's like, how do you beat that? How do you beat that? How does that work? Well, why are you asking her? She lost. Like she doesn't know. What are you talking about? She has no idea. Like she can't fix anything. She doesn't have any clue what she's talking about. Go ahead, Jen.
That was the interview I was talking about.
Yes.
That I wanted to bring up because it was just amazing to me that she is sitting there acting like, oh, I had no control over Joe. I mean, Joe, he's great, but he didn't really want to do the debate. Like, you were the second in command. At any point, you could have filed the 25th Amendment and taken his place. And you didn't. You literally put everything else before your position. Like that's a huge problem. And to me, I think that should be a crime.
Listen, she doesn't. She is completely clueless, and I love that in the midst of this, in the same interview, I've got another clip here to play of her because she starts talking about voting age. Can you imagine if this woman had won? Can you imagine how bad it would have gotten if this woman won? Like, it would have been the worst thing ever. Like I have no idea how anybody would have been able to deal with this. Like she let alone the fact that we would have had to have entire seminars on Venn diagrams. At least we don't have to have that. But now we have to have her come out here and talk about voting age and everything else. So just listen to a little bit of this here, and then I'm only going to play a little bit of this just because it's so absurd.
I think we should reduce voting age to 16. I'll tell you why. So Gen Z, their age about 13 through 27. They've only known the climate crisis. They missed substantial parts of their education because of the pandemic. If they're in high school or college, especially in college, it is very likely that whatever they've chosen as their major for study may not result in an affordable wage. They've coined the term climate anxiety to describe fear of not only being able to buy a home, but that fear will be wiped out by extreme weather, but fear of having children. It is expected that Gen Z will have 10 to 12 jobs in their lifetime. They are a larger number than boomers. They're a specific generation of people who are going to impact our nation and the world. And I think we must invest in them, but I think that they are rightly impatient with a lot of what is the tradition of leadership right now. And if they were able to vote, because they know everything that's happening right now is going to impact them more than anybody older than them, for the most part, in terms of how these systems work. If they're voting right now at 16 and up, they're going to be talking about the importance of climate. They're going to be talking about the importance of figuring out how AI is going to affect the future of the workforce. They're going to be focused on what are we really doing about affordable housing? And basically in politics, here's the hard truth about this.
So, just for a moment here, I'd like everyone to take in a note what she just said. So, we need to reduce the voting age to 16 because the people that are that age lost a significant portion of their education, but they're also definitely still afraid enough that the planet might overheat and burn them to death and they all might die. So therefore, they are the most stable and intelligent people that we want to add to the voting public right now. So we need to reduce that age down, get those 16-year-olds while they're still retarded, while they still believe that the sun monster is going to consume them at any moment, because we've convinced them of that because we made them live in their houses and locked down and they weren't able to leave. So, now that we have these people and they're emotionally damaged from what we've done to them over our stupid policies during the COVID lockdowns. So because of all that, we should make it sure that those people can vote right now. Brilliant. You just and let alone the fact that, and I love the people here that are commenting saying she's practicing her Gavin Newsom impression. Yes, everyone knows that the new hand signs, like all this ridiculous hand signing is something that they all do now. I don't know why. We call it maraca hands. It's absurd. It's retarded. I don't know why they do it, but yes, she is indeed moving into sign language just like Gavin Newsom does. But it's just everything she said is like all of the reasons you just listed are reasons those people shouldn't vote. Let's increase the voting age to 30. You shouldn't, oh my goodness. So you're telling me that these people are lacking in education. They're anxious that the sun might consume the world. So we need to make sure they can vote tomorrow because they're obviously more invested in, what? Yes, 16-year-olds are renowned for their wisdom and their long-term thinking. Yes, that's brilliant, Kamala. It's just amazing stuff. Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead.
Listen, she is definitely no Hillary Clinton. Say what you want about Hillary Clinton. At least Hillary Clinton is nasty politically. This woman is absolutely retarded politically. And I think that is why we found ourselves in the position, or she found herself in the position that she did with the 2024 election, right? Is that when the Democrats chose Kamala as vice president, right? They expected, okay, listen, she's a little green behind the ears. We'll put her in as vice president. She'll step up to the plate and she'll be able to take over, right? Except when she got in there, they quickly found, dang, she is nasty and not the cool kind. No, she is a nasty bitch. Like, she is horrible. She is wretched, right? And the Democrats found themselves in a position where they had raised the money under Joe. Remember, how much money was it, Walter? Like, a whole bunch of campaign money had to be spent by Joe. It couldn't be transferred to Kamala.
Yeah, it was 200. It
They
was
didn't
200.
want Kamala.
Yeah, it was $260 million had been raised underneath the Joe Biden campaign already. So there was a significant portion of that funding.
So I want to add to this, Jen and Walt. I want to add to this a little bit. I caught this on the way home in between phone calls. And I usually find something to watch. You guys know that I typically will just throw on Megyn Kelly. It's about a 45-minute drive. I caught a clip that I had not seen before. I didn't even know that Kamala Harris did an interview with the Australian broadcasting, whatever. It's talking about this very thing. If you guys haven't heard this goes along with the theme of Katie Porter, crashing out on that Southern California interview with the CBS affiliate. This goes along with KJP crashing out. No, wait. Kamala Harris had one this week that we didn't catch. I'm just going to play the audio, Walt, because I didn't clip it yet. I haven't had time. I just got home. But I found the place in Megyn Kelly's show today on YouTube. It's about 26 minutes in, 26:57 in. And I want to play this, Walt.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool.
It's fine. And we saw that poll of Illinois primary voters in the Democrat Party thinking 81% of them say Trump and MAGA are Nazis. 81%. So I do think those people need to get back in touch with God, with their faith, and understand the roots of this country and what leads to happiness and what doesn't.
Bear with me. It's coming.
Atheism and non-belief and disconnection to anything other than one's navel has proven to be deeply problematic and dangerous. And we're going down the wrong path. Okay, I want to keep going. Kamala Harris, she's finally subjected herself to a couple of mildly challenging interviews. And it's no coincidence that it happened overseas, right? We showed you the one with the British journalist the other day. And now we have an Aussie who works for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Her name is Sarah Ferguson. And take a look at this exchange that happened with these two. SOT 3.
Wasn't Joe Biden then, to put it on him, wasn't his refusal to recognize his own frailties the reason that you faced a nearly impossible task?
I ran against Donald Trump for president. And Donald Trump ran on a platform that was, in large part, I believe, misrepresenting his intentions to the American
Non-responsive.
people. I do believe that there are a fair number of people that voted for Donald Trump who believed him when he told them that his first priority on day one is going to be to bring down prices. And he didn't. And you combine...
I got to set this up because I love what this Australian journalist does here. Listen to the words that she uses. World-class pivot. Fantastic. Listen to this.
That misrepresentation of intention with also what was at play in terms of massive amounts of misinformation.
Now, forgive me.
And a truncated calendar in terms of
Yes.
the clock.
I want to interrupt you because that is a world-class pivot, but it is not the question
You
that
go,
I
girl.
asked you, which is about Joe Biden's failure to recognize his own frailties and what that did to you. The question is about Joe Biden. Are you still reluctant to criticize the former president?
In what regard, please?
Well, just in
In
terms
what
of that
regard?
question.
Oh, my
So,
goodness.
What exactly would you like to ask? Be more specific if you don't mind.
She asked it
Was
twice.
it Joe Biden's decision, his failure to recognize his own frailties in that position, that put you in the position that made it almost impossible to win that race?
He was not frail as president of the United States.
But he had frailties.
Oh,
We
really?
all saw the debate.
I do believe that Joe Biden had the capacity to be president of the United States.
And she goes on to say, maybe not the capacity to run for president. She tries to drop.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I just wanted to let that run. But, dude,
World-class pivot. World-class pivot.
The lady wasn't having it either. She was like, I appreciate the world-class pivot and all, but that's not what I asked you. What I asked you was, understanding his capacity and his frailty. Do you felt like that hindered your ability to mount an actual real run for presidency? And she says, he wasn't frail. He was fine. Everything was fine. It was all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorn farts. And the look on the lady's face was like, "What? Okay, I just gave you like 3 softballs. Like I couldn't make it any easier. I couldn't be more specific on it." And her question was actually, do you feel like his frailties and how late in the game it was? She said that you couldn't mount a proper race, and she's like, "No." And like Kamala Harris's face went like full blue screen of death on a computer. Like she just malfunctioned. There was like steam and like digital problems in her eyes, and she was just dumbfounded that there was a follow-up or a re-asking of the same question that she tried to dodge in a what do we call it, world-class pivot. Amazing
I
stuff.
love that. I just like that term, world-class pivot. I think I'm going to have to keep using that because it's really good. It is solid stuff. What's the name of the Australian journalist that did this? I've never heard of her.
I don't know, but it's the Australian Broadcasting Company. Like I said, I actually had trouble finding a clip that I could send you, but I just remembered at about what time it was when Megyn Kelly brought it up.
Well,
Let's see if her producers actually named
so
it correctly here.
so that's one of the other
Okay.
interviews that I wanted to bring up, because that interview totally shows how captured the American media is, right? Because the world class pivot comment, and when Trash says like freaking shit went off in her head and she didn't even know what was happening, it was so blatant that she was like, "Oh my God, who is this woman right now? How dare you go off script and ask me an unapproved question?" And she didn't know how to take it, because there is nobody in the world who could have looked at Joe Biden falling up the stairs, falling off the bike, not knowing where he was, not even knowing he was president, freaking everything that went in, and been like, "No, he's perfectly sane. He has no Alzheimer's, no dementia. He's good." Like no one.
Listen, this is I love this that we're seeing this a lot more recently. Actually, we're starting to see when there's a media breakthrough where people actually ask a real question. Like the Katie Porter interview is obviously the most atrocious version of this, where Katie Porter, she's like, why are you being so hostile? Like, why are you like, I've never been in an interview in my life where someone has asked me more than one question in a row. Like, what the hell are we talking about, Porker? Like, relax here, okay? Like, all she did is ask you very simple questions. And I love that the journalist from the CBS reporter, she was like, no, I'm going to publish this. Like, I'm publishing this right away. It's so absurd because, and this is the problem. Our media is so captured, to Jen's point here, our media is so captured that they have lived in this world. The left-wing politicians have lived in this world where no one asks them anything. No one asks them anything. No one ever pressures them. No one ever tests them. I mean, you could see this when it happened to Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. In Virginia, this woman has been running from reporters. I mean, there's actual video of her sprinting away from reporters, from Nick Minogue, when they're asking about the trans stuff. She runs from them. Like, it's hysterical stuff. Like, it's just completely absurd. But this is what happens. And then you get people on the stage, and you actually get them to nail down on a question, and they freak out. I mean, they just lose it. They can't deal with it.
No, they can't, and that's kind of the point. That was what I was going to make, because that's why I brought up Katie Porter and KJP, and basically any Democrat who malfunctions when there's actually a follow-up question, or where they actually like try to bring it back. So that's not what I asked you. I need you to answer the question correctly. By the way, shout out to my friend from Down Under, AJ. She put down chat. Her name is Sarah Ferguson, and she gave the full-length interview to the YouTube link. So thank you for that. Shout out AJ from my friend Down Under. Based and active down there in Australia land. So, give her a follow. It's AJ Mountain Streams. Her is at HDealla, so DEALLA. She put that out there. She's put it down in the chat. But up in the nest, Walt, Jen, I put this out earlier today, and I don't want to pivot to Arctic. I don't want to do a world-class pivot to Arctic frost yet. However, what I decided to do was go out and look at NBC, CBS, New York Times, and Washington Post, and I simply searched their X profile for Arctic frost. And wouldn't you know, none of them are talking about what's going on there. You can see it right up there, up in the nest. You guys can go search for your.
Of course they aren't.
I went ahead and did the work for you, but there they are.
Yeah, of course they aren't. I mean, and this is the point. I wanted to talk about this evening mainly is the future of American politics, which is what I really want to put out here. And this is why we're bringing up all these horrible people. Like, we've got Skeletard, Jennifer Welsh, Willem Dafoe's trans brother. Like we've got this woman, we've got the other woman, which was the politics girl that is just it's somehow another raptor that has been escaped from the zoo. We've got multiple raptors running around. We've got Kamala Harris that is stumbling all over herself. The left has no message to run on and has a bunch of people that are just simply unlikable. I mean, the Abigail Spanberger, which is one we bring up on this show a lot because we're so focused in Virginia, but just look at the body language and how these people talk. They're uncomfortable. They're awkward. They're weird. They can't answer questions. They can't follow up questions. You ask them a follow up and they break. Like KJP, the Karen Jean Pierre, all she can do when you ask her a follow up question, and she says, "Well, but I'm a queer immigrant woman that's black. Like, don't you understand that I'm queer, black, and an immigrant? Like, don't you understand that I have all of these check boxes? Like, why are you asking me questions? Like, it's so complicated. I don't understand." Like this is what the left is currently pushing forward. These are their main people. Okay. Like, or they're either completely incompetent or they're just horrible. Like, I mean, they're just horrible sounding. The body language is terrible. Their attitude is terrible. And then you go to the contrast, which is what we saw last night. Now, the Turning Point event last night, guys, which is what I wanted to bring up here and move into here. The Turning Point event last night, the speech that J.D. Vance gave was fantastic. Erica Kirk gave a great speech as well. But that isn't even really what's important about what happened last night. The most important part was that J.D. Vance, the sitting vice president of the United States, stood on stage and took unfiltered questions from anybody in the audience for an hour straight and answered them. Now, this was the most incredible thing to anybody who watched this and was paying attention to this. You guys should go watch the whole thing. I'm going to play a few of these clips here as we go through, and we'll talk about them as we go through them here. Because to me, this is probably the point is here. The most important point is that the authenticity, they're going to have to step up to the authentic level, because this kind of stuff is not going to be repeatable. I mean, you have to be able to match it.
Right. And so I sent you a clip before you get into the J.D. Vance clip about authenticity. Just an hour ago, it came out on the Laura Ingalls very thing. And before we get to that clip that I sent you in your DM, because it's going to lead right into the J.D. Vance clip that I know you're going to play because it was fantastic the way he handles it. Unfettered, unfiltered, unthought out, just simply answers the question. The next day after that event, I don't know if you guys saw this, but most of the reporting was basically labeling him 48. So
yes,
even the media picked up. They were like, yeah, 48 knocked it out of the park last night.
And I did see this clip, Trash. This is a perfect segue into this. So let's definitely play this first, because this lands the point that I was making before we even get into here. So let's go ahead and play this real quick. This is on Ingram.
Well, I actually can't make fun of Gavin Newsom for talking with his hands, because I talk with my hands, so I'm going to leave that one out of it. Okay. But, look, Democrats, with this 2028 primary field, Laura, it's going to look a lot like 2020 when you had 29 declared candidates at one point. But trying to pick between Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom is like picking between a colonoscopy or a root canal. I think that Kamala is probably the root canal and Gavin Newsom is the colonoscopy. But they suffer from the same disease, inauthenticity. And so I think if Gavin were to get the nomination, he would end up meeting the same exact fate that Kamala Harris did in 2024 or Beto O'Rourke did in 2022 when he ran against Governor Abbott. They'd get the glossy covers of the magazines like Vogue, they'd get all the television interviews and all the attention, they'd raise a ton of money, but then they lose, because the more that voters learn about them, the more they hear from them, the less they like them, the less they trust them.
That's a great clip, Trash. And I saw that earlier, but I hadn't actually listened all the way through, and I missed the part where she referred to it as a colonoscopy or a root canal. That's a pretty good comparison, to be honest with you. I like that. That's pretty good there. But the most important part about it is the authenticity. Now, everybody that was paying attention in the 2024 campaign knows that authenticity was absolutely at the peak right there. They were like, you had to be authentic on the campaign trail, or you just didn't get any attention. That in the way they did that was they went and did long form interviews. Okay. Now the left can't do long form interviews. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Like, when's the last time you saw a mainstream left wing politician? The only person I'll give him this credit was that Gavin Newsom has been doing them, but he's literally just making shit up. Like, I mean, he's just lying. Like, did you guys see the ridiculous? We haven't even played this yet, and I really need to. The ridiculous clip of him saying how hard his upbringing was and how he had to go get Wonder Bread coupons. Like, what? Like, this is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, Reek and memes within like 20 minutes of him saying that immediately put out of him holding a 40 wearing a chain and a flip brim hat. Like, it was like an amazing meme. Perfect. The best one so far for on Gavin Newsom. But it's like, what are you talking about? Like, your parents are millionaire socialites. Like, I mean, there's a great image of him in his high school yearbook that's out there, and I'm sure you guys may have seen it. I'll see if I can find it and throw it up on the screen. But it's him, and he is wearing like a cardigan and a vest and a scarf, and he is considered the most stylish of his class. Like, this is the person that's claiming that he has Wonder Bread coupons. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's so stupid. But this is the inauthentic behavior.
He's Nancy Pelosi's nephew, for God's sakes.
Yes, exactly. So in this moves us into what I want to get into a lot of this here because this is important. So this moves us into what happened last night on Turning Point USA and Ole Miss. Now the whole speech, I do recommend everyone go watch the whole thing. It's worth it. I mean, just go see the entire event. It was well worth it. I'm going to play some of these good clips in here to talk about this. But the difference between the left right now and the top line of the Democrat Party is so evident that it is unbelievable at this point. I mean, there's no comparison at all between the sides. Just listen to this. This is a difficult question from a very concerned person, and this is how J.D. Vance handles it.
Pushing out policies that hurt us, and these policies are not even solving the problems. These policies are just creating chaos.
Ma'am. Okay, so again, I'm gonna finish answering the question, and then
So real quick here before I finish this. So the question on this, it cut a bit of the question off in this clip that I have here, but the question on this was an immigration question. So she is an immigrant, and she's talking about how J.D. Vance earlier in his speech and earlier in his comments here was talking about immigration and saying, he thinks that there needs to be less immigration. There should be less immigration to the United States. We need to have less immigrants coming to the United States. That's what his comment was before, and that's accurate. I mean, and he actually do like this. At some point, he mentioned the estimates on illegal immigrants. Now, if you listen to this show, you know that the estimates that we have from very in connected sources within DHS and immigration itself, we estimate that the amount of illegals in the United States is 50 million. Now, not a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think it's way lower. And if you go listen to the ridiculous numbers coming out of our government, they've been saying it's 11 million, and they've been saying it's 11 million since 2005. It just never changes. It's just always 11 million. And no matter what, it's always 11 million. It's been 11 million forever. Shut up. Stop asking questions. Well, it's much higher than that. And J.D. Vance actually does mention that at some point in this. But the specific question he's responding to here is this woman's talking about it. And she's mad because the policies that he's talking about, he's saying reducing immigration. She's saying, well, how are you going to break the trust of Americans or of immigrants that have come to this country, and you gave us a promise to be here and like blah, 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 blah. But J.D. Vance handles it very well. So this is how he responds to that question.
If I've answered all 9 of your questions in less than 15 minutes, then we can keep on going. We got to have a little fun, right? So here's the thing. I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future, while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have, I'll go and finish. We cannot have an immigration policy where what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
so there you go. That is the first response that he gave on that. And that response there is incredibly important for a number of reasons, but mostly because J.D. Vance answers to this in a way that very few, I don't know if ever really I've ever heard a politician in our modern era other than Trump come out and say, look, I'm not the president of the world. Okay, I'm not ruling over the world. My first job is for the people of this country. That is the most important thing to me. And that is something that has completely changed. Okay. Like this is not just a few years ago, we were always talking about how we needed to worry about the global order or some other nonsense about, global trade and blah, 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 blah. The deal is that policy, those policies where our politicians were trying to focus on the global trade and the global economic order and all this nonsense, is what hollowed out the middle class in this country, completely decimated the Midwest, and completely tore apart families and entire communities across this country. And they were then ignored. And then when they complained about it and said they were upset about it, they were called racist and told to shut the hell up. Okay, so these problems are something that we're actually trying to fix now. And for the first administration in history, they're actually taking the job of fixing the immigration policies seriously. They're talking about H-1B reform. That needs to be done. They're talking about full immigration reform. That needs to be done. All of this stuff needs to be done. There's too many people here that have not assimilated to our culture, that are not Americans. They do not act as Americans. They don't see themselves as Americans. In fact, they go so far as to brazenly say that we should assimilate to them rather than them assimilate to us. Okay, that's what Mom Dami's message is, essentially. Mom Kami up there in New York, that's what his message is. We shouldn't have to, the immigrants shouldn't have to assimilate. That's not important. Don't assimilate. We'll just make the societies around them a mold to them rather than mold to us. And that is a huge problem. And J.D. Vance answered the question. It was not an easy question. The full length on that is actually a lot better when you hear how hard, the way that she responds to it. It's a very emotional style question, but he responds to it appropriately. Sorry, I'm not interested in the rest of the world. I have to look out for the citizens that are here, that are citizens of this country, before I have to worry about anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, right. Matter of fact, actually, there's a lot on that. Matter of fact, you and I have been the target of some people calling us grifters and things like that, which that doesn't bother me. I don't care. I'm not even bringing it up because I actually give a shit. That happens all the time. However, it's people that want you to draw a hard line on one way or the other, and it always revolves around foreign policy, and America is the one holding the bag or financing it, paying for it, whatever, or the interest outside of the actual American people are involved. And that's my position. Y'all can keep your crazy, unhinged lunacy and talking about foreign nations somewhere, whether it's in the Middle East or it's in Eastern Asia. I really don't give a shit. If it doesn't move the ball down the field and my taxpayer dollars are involved, you can save it, shove it up your ass. I don't care. And I really don't care. And I really find it disgusting that anybody would prance around as America first and want to talk about everything foreign versus domestic as a whole. So, that can kind of lead into that. I think it's also worth mentioning, the post that you put out that I responded to yesterday. And then there's actually some video that kind of addresses this as well. And this is kind of where we're faced. This is where we're at. And people are trying to, twist foreign policy into our domestic thoughts, processes, or what we want seen. And it's just, I'm not interested in doing it. I question anybody that demands that you do it, or demands you follow one side or the other.
That's right. There's a number of other things that J.D. Vance went through here, though, just the policies that he brought up. And again, I think the most important part of it is not even necessarily what his policies were. It's how he responded to the questions. The questions themselves, when they were posed to him, he didn't read off some script. He didn't have somebody come and whisper in his ear, this is how you need to respond to this. We need to run this by the consultant test team and make sure this has been perfectly tested so that it sounds okay and that you use the right words. No, he just responds. He just responds to the question. And I think, it is a sad reality in this country that it is that kind of response that is so simple that all we just want you to do is answer the damn question. That is a groundbreaking thing for us to see now, because it has been so long since we've had politicians that are just able to answer questions without having to go ask 25 people if it's okay to say something. Okay, people are done with that. That people are very done with that kind of response. So here's another one of these, and this is talking about on the war in, I think this is in Israel. This is talking about the Iran bombing. I believe this is the question on this. So I do want to play this bit here. This is a couple minutes here from J.D. Vance.
I'm just wondering, well, it's not necessarily something you did wrong, but it's what could someone else do wrong? Let's say we get a complete tyrant in office, and let's say Turning Point USA is having a huge protest against something really bad that we don't like, and let's say he's a president is saying that it's getting violent. How can we? I'm trying to think. My mind's kind of blank. What is the difference between what you're doing and how could we prevent someone from abusing that power?
Yeah. So look, I understand where the question is coming from, and I think it's a fair question. And it's going to sound like I'm being sarcastic, and it really is not meant in any offense. But when you talk about what could another administration do, to take a wild, hypothetical example totally off the top of my head.
So real quick here, this I accidentally clicked on the wrong one here, but this is an important one as well. This is responding to the idea of abuse of power from the current administration. They're talking about it going after the political enemies and everything like that. That's what the question was on. So this guy, he's asking whether or not if it's a problem for our current administration if we start going after people on the like using the levers of power to actually prosecute people. Is that a bad thing, or should we be worried about it? I mean, what if we do this? What if the left does it to us? Is essentially the question. So that's what J.D. Vance is responding to. This is a different one from the other one that's just talking about Middle Eastern issues.
What if Joe Biden sent the Federal Bureau of Investigation to start arresting his political opponents? Okay, so here's something that I want every conservative to remember. It's an important part of my entire political philosophy is we cannot be afraid to do something because the left might do it in the future. The left is already going to do it regardless of whether we do it. That is the takeaway of the last 40 years. And in particular, if you look at what we're doing, if Joe Biden wanted to deploy the National Guard to a red state in a place where the murder rate was twice what it is in third world countries to actually go after murderers, that would be a great use of the National Guard. Unfortunately, I don't think Joe Biden would use it like that. What I'm worried about, frankly, is what the far left already did with American law enforcement, and that is the thing that we have to prevent against. And the answer to that question is you make sure the people who did it face penalties for using the federal power against American citizens.
So there you go. And that's the response from J.D. Vance on this. Is it again? This is yet another very, very serious point, and something we talk about on the show a lot about accountability. You have to have accountability for the unlawful actions of the previous administration. And J.D. Vance is saying it directly there. It's like you have to do it. You have to. You have to have some form of accountability for this, because otherwise they'll do it again. They will do it again. And in fact, if you listen to the left right now, they're telling us that they're going to do it again. And in fact, they're saying that they're going to make it hell, essentially. I mean, Jamie Raskin, a number of months ago, I put this clip out when he was talking about, he said, we will not look kindly when we get back into power upon those who ushered in authoritarianism in this country. They're telling you what they're going to do. Believe them, people. They are going to do this. If they get back into power, they will abuse it. They will abuse it immediately. They will do it instantaneously, which is why I tell everybody you have to be so focused on these elections. We didn't just win. We won one battle when we got Trump into office. Okay, we did. We won a huge battle. That was the most important battle that we needed to win that year. But this fight has to continue because these people are ruthless. They don't play by the same rules as us. They don't care about the rules. None of this stuff. Like I love that the new left talking point is this whole no kings thing, that we stand for the Constitution, not blah, blah, blah. And like, no, you guys don't. You have done the opposite of that for years at this point. For years, you have told us how much you hate the Constitution, how it's an outdated document, and it needs to be reformed and rewritten and redone, and because it's all bad and doesn't help any of us. This is the problem. They are just shameless liars, and they will abuse those powers if they get back into office and they don't have consequences for their actions. There must be consequences, which is what J.D. Vance is talking about there. And yet again, this is just a random question from a random individual in this audience, okay? And J.D. Vance was able to respond to that with ease, really. And he's saying the right thing. That's right. Yeah, Shelley Silk here, one of our listeners, saying this is not your daddy's Republican Party. You're damn right.
It's not. No, it's over. That's over. We've taken over. And listen, we still have battles internally. The GOP are sloths at best. There's a handful of states that have a GOP that's actually effective. I've talked about this now for 2 years now. I don't need to prattle off the list. If you are involved in your local politics, you either know whether your GOP is active or not. Enough said. And if they're not, call it out. You live there locally. I don't live there. I don't live in Colorado. I don't live in Illinois. I don't live in any other state but Arizona. So you know what your GOP is doing. I know what my GOP is doing, and it's wild, stupid, and crazy. But I want to add on further. I think J.D. Vance was actually being very, I don't know, forgiving in his statement, because he's saying, if Democrats take party again, they're obviously going to do it. Therefore, it doesn't really matter what you do or what you don't do or what you weaponize or what you nuclear option or what you don't. they're going to do it anyway when they take power again. And I said, yeah, because they already did. What do you think Arctic Frost is about? What do you think all these investigations that are kicking up are all about? What do you think these current indictments are all about? They already did it. They've been doing it for years. I mean, they've been doing it for a very long time, but they really turned up the temperature the moment that Obama got in office, and the moment that Obama left office is when they really started ratcheting it up. You mean to tell me the SJ Terp meeting and disarm framework and the CTI league files are not enough for you? Fine. You think that like the Twitter files and censorship industrial complex is enough? Fine. You think that all of the people, whether they actually entered the Capitol or not, whether they walked between velvet robes, took pictures and left, and then were just basically thrown in a hole in a DC gulag for years, that what already wasn't it. That a officer shot an unarmed woman climbing through a broken window because the crowd was surging, because people were trying to do damage who were bad actors that were not MAGA because they still hadn't made it that far into the Capitol. They haven't already done that. They did that. They laid pipe bombs for diversionary tactics. Already did that. There's literally nothing that they haven't done that they wouldn't already do again should they get power again. And so, in my opinion and in my estimation, I say run the helicopters, run the wood chippers. I really don't care. And I really hope that I see more arrests and more jumpsuits. And a little insider baseball, some birdies and I have been talking today. It's about to get really real very quickly. And people are like, oh, you're being coy. You're not tell us everything. And I'm like, well, it's not my place to tell you. But I can tell you, just as we have been warning on this space the last couple weeks and the last couple months, that it is coming and it's going to happen all at once. It's not going to be a trickle. It's going to be a tsunami. And I can tell you we're on the verge of that. There are many steps being taken. You can see it for yourself in the news. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to tell you because I want you to find out for yourself, because I am not your source. I'm just a dude on the internet that recognizes what's going on, that comments on politics and on various different things that are going on within our government. And that's it. I am not here for me to be trust me, bro. You need to trust yourself and go, look, but I'm telling you, the patterns are there. And you're not going to convince me that, oh, well, they haven't really done much up to this point. But if we do this now, if we go hard in the paint right now, while we have the popular mandate and we have the electoral college and we seem to be trending in approval rating going up, that you shouldn't do it and just go for it is a silly notion. And I'm not interested in what Democrats will do if we do such thing. That means we are being held hostage. I'm sorry, America.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure most Americans didn't vote to be a hostage. So stop acting like a hostage. This isn't Stockholm Syndrome. Go out there, go on offense, and be based.
Well, the biggest part of this to me is that, this is something we say a lot. The problem on the Republican side generally is that there's a lot of people that simply don't know what time it is. They don't get it. They don't understand. They don't know what time it is. They don't understand. They still think we live in this previous world where the left is not insane, when they're not going to go after us using every lever of power that's possible. Like, guys, we talked about Arctic Frost earlier this week. Like, go listen to that show, okay? And just listen to the first 30 minutes of it where we walk through what happened yesterday where Grassley released the information where Senator Cruz came out and showed that they wiretapped his phones. He's a sitting senator. He's a sitting senator. And the argument that I made yesterday when they're talking about this is, the deal is, if they were willing to go that far, okay, that far using the DOJ, what did they do behind the scenes that you didn't see? That's the point. That's the point that you really should pay attention to. What did they do that you couldn't see? What did they do with the intelligence agencies? Because we know from Tulsi Gabbard that the ICA was cooked, that we know that the CIA was activated. We know that they used the NSA. We know that they did this stuff. So what did they do that we did not hear about, that we have not heard about yet, that they haven't brought out to the public yet? Those are all things that are still going to come trickling out. All of that stuff's going to slowly come trickling out. They're going to start being prosecutions for it because it's going to be worse than anybody can imagine. And right now, it's already horrible. I mean, it's already bad enough that they know that Jack Smith had tapped the wire, had tapped 20% of the GOP Senate. He had tapped their phones, illegally tapped their phones, and Judge Boasberg, Judge Bozo the Clown, who we refer to him as, he signed off on all of it. Just, yep, that's fine. Go ahead. And he even said that Senator Cruz was willing to destroy evidence, and that's why you had to go after him. So spare me on this whole idea that, we need to be worried about the left. Okay, we don't. We don't need to be worried about the left. They already did it. They did it, and they'll do it again, and they'll do it at a heartbeat, and everyone needs to realize that. And all these GOP Republicans that are just like, oh, my God, well, we need to be careful here. Shut up. You are the problem. You weak, useless, lazy people that think that these people are not going to come after us are the reason we got here in the first place by saying, holding up your principles and losing on them. That's all you did. You just lost on them. Every time someone got into charge and he got into power, you didn't do anything. You didn't push anything back. You just held the line because principle. As the left did obstruction the entire way, all the way through, they just held on principle, even though they were completely upending all of our norms in this country, and they were throwing it all out the window because they didn't care. Okay? We're done. We're done with that. That's not happening anymore. But the general point here of what we're talking about with the J.D. Vance is now that we've moved into an actual era where we have people that are in charge that are willing to actually go after this and actually fix these problems. You are right, Bozgo. It will be worse if they're in power next time. Like if we don't have accountability, they'll do it again. We'll be in prison. You know, people that are commentators, we won't just get censored. They'll literally throw us in the education camps. Okay, like it will be in the gulags. Now the benefit though, there is a benefit to this. The gulags, once we're there, they'll be pretty nice because they'll be packed with all your friends. We'll be able to play chess through the walls. It won't be so bad. All of your friends will be there, so that'll be okay. At least we'll be able to hang out together in the gulags and the re-education camps as they convince us that we're all trans. But the problem is that the general problem for the left, though, is that now that we actually have a team in here that's willing to fight these people, willing to go after them, this means that the future of American politics has really changed. That means that we have authentic leaders that are actually willing to go out there, and I'm telling you, I don't think it's possible for you to go back in the opposite direction. Once people start to feel and see the authentic behavior on a regular basis, you can't go back the opposite direction because people aren't going to go for it. And that's why the left is not winning on messaging right now. They're not winning on messaging because they don't have authentic messaging. They don't have authentic anything. I mean, you got Mom Kami up there in New York that he was like, well, my aunt after 9/11, she wasn't able to wear her hijab. And they're like, well, you don't have an aunt. And he was like, well, I know. I was talking about my dead brother's cousin's nephew. Like, what the hell? Like you're just fake people. You're just fake people. And your fake messaging doesn't land anymore because people see right through it. And instead, you've got people like J.D. Vance now, where you have someone that is actually willing to go out there and talk about things. And even on complicated issues, on the right, they actually can respond to it. So this is a response on the Israel question, which has always been something on the right that everyone talks about. And there's a divide within the right, whether or not they're okay with the Israel. Anything that happens in the Middle East is always a problem. But this is J.D. Vance's response to this. And this is, again, another authentic response.
I had with Charlie. I remember when people said that the president of the United States was going to get us into a multi-100,000 troop regime change war for Israel. This was 4 months ago. This was 6 months ago. Now, the people who accused the president of the United States of wanting to get us into a regime change war for Israel, I wonder if they stepped back and said, you know what, we were wrong about that, because the president of the United States did not want to get us into a regime change war for any other country. He wanted to knock out a nuclear facility and get everybody back home, and that's exactly what he did.
So that's just a quick response to this. Okay, the messaging is very simple. Even on complicated issues within our own side, okay, even on the right, and the Israel question is very obnoxious for anybody that pays attention to politics right now. You all know that there is a whole division of people that like talking about Israel constantly. I mean, it's all they talk about. It's the only thing they talk about constantly. But even on that issue, you've got J.D. Vance was willing to respond to the question, and he responded to it with the correct answer. You guys were wrong. We did this exactly how we said we were going to do it. And are you guys going to be, are you going to back off on that? Of course you're not. But that doesn't matter because you were wrong and we moved forward with it and we did American policy the way it's supposed to be done. All we're doing is having sane policy decisions all over the place. That's all that's happening. The idea that we need to be worried because we could do something that might upset somebody else, that is a ridiculous idea. Okay, it's a completely absurd idea that everybody's going to be happy all the time. Like, you're not going to please everybody. Not everybody. And the one advantage, and this is actually truly an advantage of the right, by the way. Like, I know a lot of people don't like to hear it and don't like to talk about it, but the reality is that the infighting on the right is not a bad thing. Okay, like, it's not a bad thing to have dissent within your own ranks. It is not a bad thing to constantly have to go back and forth with your friends to be able to come up with a solution to an issue, because the left is the opposite of that. The left, they have one idea, And that's it. You can't have any other ideas. You're not allowed to have other ideas. You must follow the party line to the letter, to the point, every single thing that they do. You have to, if you don't believe that men that are 65 years old that can randomly turn into a 17-year-old girl and then go join the bathroom and go hang out in locker rooms with children and women, if you don't believe that, well, then you're not part of the Democrat Party. That's not allowed. Okay, and if you don't roundly condemn every single thing that Trump does with every single condemnation, then you're not a Democrat anymore. They hate you. I mean, this is the problem. And on the right, yes, the right has issues within it, and we have infighting, and people talk about it and argue about it. But the deal is that is a good thing because iron sharpens iron. Okay, like having some sort of division within our own ranks is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. That is a strength of ours because eventually the people that have the better ideas are going to win. That's how it works. If you have a bad idea and you're on the right, someone will probably call you stupid. Okay, like on the right, if you say something dumb, you will get called out for it very, very quickly. I mean, even on this show here, all of our listeners, and I thank you guys for joining us, by the way. Make sure you guys share this space out if you're listening to us on X, Substack. Make sure you guys share the link out and make sure that you know we're live. But even on this show, when we say stuff, I have people that comment all the time like, hey, well, you guys were wrong about this, or you guys there's a specific part of that point that you don't know about or something like that. I listen to them all the time. It happens. Okay, like, but that's a good thing. Having people that don't agree with every single point, like, what are you doing if you create an online platform? Like, say you're intentionally growing an audience of some kind. What are you really growing that audience to only have people tell you how great you are? Is that what your goal is? Is that what you want? You'll never improve if that's the case. If you never have anybody criticize anything that you ever do, you're not going to grow. You're not going to get better. You're not going to be challenged because everybody agrees already. Everybody agrees on every single thing that you do. Yep, everybody knows. Everybody, yep, that's fine. No pushback on any ideas ever. That is not how you get better. That is not how you challenge yourself. That's not how you improve. And that is something that the right has. Okay, the right has a lot of people that dissent on all sorts of different issues. I mean, we've got people on the right that there's a whole wave of people on the right that like Thomas Massie. I think Thomas Massie's an idiot, but like it doesn't matter. Okay, like the point is very, very specific that if we didn't have some sort of division within the right, then we would just be the left, and we don't want to be the left. Now, do I think there should be more unity on the right? Sure. I think that when we're trying to push forward policy decisions from the legislative level, I think there needs to be a lot more unity in that front because it's very clear that the left, specifically the Democrat Party, they all vote in a block no matter what, and there's almost no dissent on anything they do. Even if half their freaking senators don't agree with it, they don't go forward with it. But in the commentary, like in the commentariat, there's no problem with people arguing with each other all the time. That's a good thing. Okay, like the reason people notice it now is because there's actually not any people out there on the like all of the politics are happening on the right currently. That's why you're seeing it so much. That's why you see the division on a regular basis because the reality is that no politics are happening on the left because what are they talking about? What are they talking about right now? Like the left is still over there in woke world talking about whether or not Steve can sit naked in the woman's sauna. That's what's happening on the left still. And everyone's like, yep, we're not doing that. Sorry, that's not happening. So we're going to go argue with our friends about foreign policy or something. Like, I mean, that's like no one is talking about this stuff on the left. Okay. Like we're not talking about anything then because they're not doing anything interesting. They're not talking about new ideas. They're not talking about how to move the country forward. None of the stuff that they talk about is happening, okay? And that's why you see so much division, or I wouldn't even call it division. I'd just say fighting, people arguing. And I guess we probably live in a world now, and it's probably because of the amount of censorship that existed, where people forgot that arguments happen. Okay, you can argue all the time and be friends still. Like, I don't know where that went. I grew up arguing with my whole family when we sit down at dinner tables. The entire conversation is an argument. Someone brings up something, and then someone else tells them stupid for saying that. And then you all argue about how stupid the person is who came up with it in the first place. And you do that for 45 minutes. Like, that's every dinner table. Like, and if you guys didn't do that when you were growing up, I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean you all hate each other. That just means that this is just how you have a conversation. This is how you argue and how you come up with new ideas. Like, this is just how it works. But the left and the entire apparatus that was created around the censorship idea was that anytime you had a dissenting opinion, it was eviscerated. It was just gone. It's just that you don't exist. Whoop! They just fly you away. You don't exist anymore. Your opinion is not only irrelevant, no one will even see it in the first place. And that's what's created this whole idea that you can't have dissent, you can't have arguments, and it's upsetting to people when people are arguing. Oh my God, why are they all fighting? Like, let them fight. There's nothing wrong with it. People can fight and argue. It's okay. It's not a problem. It's a good thing to have fights and arguments, okay? The side that has the better points and the better ability to deliver their message, that's the side that's going to win. And if you don't like what people are saying and you don't like what they're talking about, then maybe you should come up with a better way to talk about what you're talking about so more people listen to you and less of them. That's the better way to go about it.
So I want to come back to, I agree with what you said. I want to come back to something that we were talking about here earlier when I was bringing up, I was trying to remember where I saw this, that I agreed with it, and I remembered. It was Kevin Roberts, who is the director of Heritage Foundation. And he shares a lot of the sentiment that I have, and I think that we should play this. I did DM it to you. I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. I actually want to bring this up and hash this out so we can put to bed all these fake, both foreign supported stupid little platforms, people that are fake MAGA, or people that just demand that you talk about something in some kind of way that I just don't care or interested in talking about because it's lowbrow and retarded. But Kevin Roberts was correct here. And this was on the heels of Heritage Foundation being accused of distancing itself from Tucker Carlson. Like, that's not, like, what? Like, please, seriously, I'm not going to do these woke. I'm not going to do these woke purity tests. We don't do that on the right. We don't do that in MAGA. And like, that's just people who want to see the world burn, jumping from the left because they were useful and trying to find a home on the right. It's about 2 minutes and 39 seconds, but I think that we should address this, Walt. It's going to come up in a week. It's going to come up in a month. It's already come up, and I would like to address this with my name attached to what we've been doing for, what are we on, episode 124? I think that we should actually address this.
Yeah, and I already have this clip ready to go, actually, because this is worth talking about a little bit here. Now, generally, the one thing I will say about this is that why Heritage felt they needed to do this in the first place was the only thing that I thought was very strange about this. Like, what?
I'll tell you, because Kevin, part of like Texas Policy Institute, before he went part of Heritage, he's always been an America First guy. Kevin Roberts is a guy I highly respect. I hold him in high regard. Separate himself from Heritage. It doesn't matter. By the way, Heritage does great work. I mean, a lot of great things that come out of Heritage, but also a lot of squishy, like fake Republican stuff that come out of Heritage too. I'm not here to stand up for anybody. The fact that he felt the need, I don't think that he felt the need. I think that he's like me, and I said, I don't feel the need to comment on it, but I want to comment on it, and here's my statement. That's how I took this.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and play this here, and then we can talk about it, because this is the general debate that's been happening over the past, 6 months or so, and this is worth talking about here because, I have a whole different take on this probably than you do, Trash, but that's okay because this is actually worth going over in depth for a little bit here, and I'm sure everyone else will be interested by it too. So let's go ahead here.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so, with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him are sowing division. Their attempt to cancel him will fail. Most importantly, The American people expect us to be focusing on our political adversaries on the left, not attacking our friends on the right. I disagree with, and even abhor, things that Nick Fuentes says. But canceling him is not the answer either. When we disagree with a person's thoughts and opinions, we challenge those ideas in debate. And we have seen success in this approach as we continue to dismantle the vile ideas of the left. As my friend Vice President Vance said last night, what I am not okay with is any country coming before the interest of American citizens, and it is important for all of us, assuming we are American citizens, to put the interest of our own country first. That's where our allegiance lies, and that's where it will stay.
So that's Kevin Roberts here. Now, the biggest thing I want to talk about on this specifically is because there has been a general move on the part of the right, and this is something I put a post out talking about this the other day, where there's people talking about Zionism and Christian Zionism and all this nonsense. And this happens both from Tucker Carlson and from the people that hate Tucker Carlson, and I hate all of it. Okay, like it's so obnoxious. Okay, and here's the real reason why: because up until 5 minutes ago, no one even used the word Zionism on the American. It was not in the American political nomenclature. It was not. Okay, like no one used it. No one talked about it. No one I've ever met has ever referred to themselves as a Zionist or a Christian Zionist or any of that stuff. Like that just didn't exist. But it started coming up over, I don't know, it was after October 7th is really when you started seeing this stuff happen. And I understand the concept here, like the people that are pro-Israel. And I'm very hawkish on foreign policy, by the way. I fully support the idea of Israel, and I don't give a damn about Gaza, even in the slightest. Doesn't mean anything to me. To me, it's a strategic ally in the Middle East, and there's nothing that we're going to do to change that, because why would we get rid of a strategic ally? It's not going to happen. But the general problem is that the PR campaign from both sides of this argument has been so poorly managed that everybody just talks about it all the time, and going after Tucker Carlson constantly. People just constantly. Listen, how do you know when someone is actually important or not? When you're listening to people argue and talk about something, if their entire message is only talking about a person, that's all they're doing. They're not discussing ideas. They're not discussing anything else. They're just attacking a person, or they're going after somebody. They're going after some specific thing that they don't like about this person. You're thinking too small. Okay, you're thinking too small. But when you're focused on people, not policy, not ideas, you're not coming up with new solutions to it. And the people that yell and scream that Tucker Carlson needs to be deplatformed or anything like this, you're missing the point. Okay, you're missing the point. The louder you yell at somebody like Tucker Carlson, the more he's going to do exactly the opposite. Okay, like if you don't want to hear what he has to say, then stop talking about him all day. Like it's very easy. It's much simpler than you think it is. If you really dislike what Tucker Carlson is doing, every single time he says something, you all share 1,000 clips of him. There's 1 million clips that come out. Look what he said. Like, okay, well, you just boosted him in the algorithm by 1,000%. Well done. Like it's such a foolish notion to try and convince anybody an American male, like just a red-blooded American male, to say, you can't talk about that and stop talking about that, and if you do, we're going to come after you. The response is going to be the same every single time. Screw you, I'm going to talk about it more. Okay? I'm going to talk about it way more now. I'm going to talk about it every day, and everything you don't want me to do, I'm going to go do it. Like, I mean, like it's in a stupid concept to trying to convince people not to talk about things. You're not going to convince them to do that, okay? If you don't want to hear people talk about it, go find a better way to debate it with them. Go actually find a way to talk about it with them directly and see if you can actually nail them down on a position. Now, this is, I assume, I didn't even think about this, that this is probably a response directly from Heritage Foundation after Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on. Now, I listened to that interview of Nick Fuentes and him and Tucker talking, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it either, because they did the same thing. They did the same thing that all of their opponents do. They started attacking other people. They started attacking Ben Shapiro in it. They started attacking other people, saying, oh, they did this. And it's like, you guys all you're doing is fighting with each other about things that are irrelevant. Like, it's just not important to the American domestic policy or anything.
My biggest problem with all of it, and listen, like, I know that, James Lindsay, as an example, I was just talking about this behind the scenes here. James Lindsay has been attacked on this from several fronts. The small L, big L libertarians, the 2A community, the conservative bro community, the MAGA right, the far right, whatever. the people whom I identify with the Jewish people in Israel first, and then they will disperse their opinions second. Like, I get all of that. They all have strong opinions about things. I don't care about any of that. Like, you're welcome to have strong opinions. When we start getting into the cancel culture and we start attacking personalities and we stop discussing the ideas or the policies, or we stop discussing solutions and we start attacking and being cults of personalities, we lose.
Yes.
And so, like, I'm not interested in people saying, well, Tucker Carlson said this and he platformed Nick Fuentes, or Nick Fuentes said this and he platformed Carlin Borisenko, or I can't believe that Pierce Morgan had Anna Kasparian and all these other lunatics on it. They platformed them. You're talking about personalities. You're not giving me any, like, I don't know, opposing argument to the substance of the matter that's being proposed. And the more that people fall into the trap of attacking other people and just saying, well, they're a personality, or they're paying $7,000, so they're posting on behalf of Israel. Okay, fine, maybe they are. Okay, fine, maybe they are. But my point is, if we slip into this category of cancel culture and we slip into this conversation where we're not actually debating ideas on a free market. I'll give you a better example. So people would rather have people like Nick Fuentes and many other people banned and not platformed from any quote unquote polite society. How dare you bring a person like that? And I'm like, well, if you push it to the fringes, it festers and it grows bigger and it grows stronger, instead of actually being able to debate the concept of ideas on the public stage, on the public square,
In
and
trash,
people saying,
to bolster to
I
your
just want
point,
to finish.
I'm going to bolster. I'm going to
Okay.
bolster something you're saying there. Not only does it push them to the fringe, it radicalizes them further.
Yeah, of course. But I'm saying that, like, the ideas never get challenged. It's the personalities that get challenged. You have to challenge the ideas. And yes, if you do push it to the fringes, it bolsters and strengthens 1000%. But my point is that if we don't challenge ideas and we don't hash it out on a public stage, it festers in a private stage, and it becomes out of control, and then it becomes a lopsided psychological warfare that nobody understands what the actual messaging is, because everyone's attacking the personalities. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid.
Well, it's you're hitting on the right point here, that this is what I'm trying to get to here, is that the problem is, again, that if you continue to attack the people, like you're talking about, you're attacking the personalities instead of the ideas, and you're trying to cancel them and trying to throw them out somewhere else, all you're going to do is push them into a corner, and they're just going to sit there and talk to all the people that agree with them, and then all the other people that could debate them and maybe change their minds won't platform them anymore because you told them not to. Like, how are you going to get a debate versus someone? So Nick Fuentes, by the way, this is one of these people. I've people that, like, I've known of Nick Fuentes forever. I have listened to him before. To be honest with you, I've always just kind of seen him as a fringe character on the right. Okay, he's got his audience. He has built a very loyal audience. Okay, you can't argue with that. He has an audience. He has an audience of people, and then it's all very, it's his minded people. He has a pretty significant audience, and I don't have a problem with that. He can have his audience. But the deal is, if you try and say that you can't talk to him, and you can't argue with him, and you can't do anything, and you can't platform, you can't do anything with the guy, well, you're never going to get him in a scenario where he goes up against somebody that can actually argue against his ideas. If his ideas are so wrong, then let somebody else go talk to him. Okay, like, and there's only been one of these in the past, I don't know, 6 months or so that I've ever seen, where somebody that actually knew what they were talking about argued against Nick Fuentes, and this is Dinesh D'Souza, and it was on Alex Jones actually had them have a debate. Now, if you guys didn't watch that, I recommend you go watch it. Dinesh D'Souza schools him. He schools him. It was hysterical. He had no idea what he was talking about on a whole bunch of issues. But, there's never been a scenario where someone was actually allowed to sit there and actually have a debate back and forth with each other. Like, you sit there and say, you can't platform this guy, you can't platform this guy. Well, then all you do is let him sit there and talk and have his own audience and his own people that all agree with him. And if you have only people that only agree with him, then you just continuously get more and more of the ideas, even if they're bad. Okay, this is the problem with the idea of any censorship whatsoever. Canceling a people is stupid. It is stupid because all it does is push people into silos, and they build their audience, and then that audience becomes rabidly loyal to that group, and then you can't ever challenge them. Like, I mean, I don't ever, and if you guys notice, on this show, we spend zero time talking about personalities. Zero. Now, like, if you're talking about a mainstream political figure, yeah, sure, we'll make fun of those people all the time. Like, that's not the same sort of thing. We're talking about commentariat-style ideological people that are in the same business, that are doing this. I don't spend any time talking about this. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in the drama. It's not interesting. It's just not. And this is something I actually was floating. I was talking with somebody earlier about this, and I think we live in a new world. We live in a world where it used to be celebrities were the people on Hollywood screens, and everybody knew those people, and everybody saw them in movies, and that was the only time you saw them. Well, now the people that are the most popular in the country are not those people. Those people are like, sure, people see movies and stuff, but they're podcasters that people listen to 2 hours of them talk every single day. Every single day they listen to these people talk for 2 hours. These people are more well-known, more facially recognizable to people, more like they know, have heard those people speak more than any celebrity in history. So you've got a whole new class of people that are all celebrities. And what you're really witnessing is it's almost the birth of a new Hollywood gossip scene. And the drama plays out between this person doesn't like that person, and this person hates that person, and this person says this about this person. And it's this nitpicking bullshit that doesn't matter. Like, it's so unimportant, but people are fascinated by it because these people are celebrities. These people are true celebrities. They have massive followings, and they've got massive amounts of people. People hang on every word that they say. So they need to go out there and gossip, and there's cliques that form. Now, if you guys don't know anything about like popular culture reporting, okay? Like if you go look into like music scene reporting or like big movie star reporting, the journalism that comes out of that is hysterical. There's a guy, I forget his name. He's a really good journalist on that front, and he talks about it at one point. And the first time I ever heard it, I was completely mind blown. I never even thought about this, okay? He said, well, someone was talking about the Nicki Minaj group, and Nicki Minaj said this, and I had to be very careful about how I wrote that story because if I said this wrong, the Beyonce cult would come after me. And I was like my brain took like 10 minutes to figure out what the hell was happening here, because it was like, oh, okay, wait a minute here. The fan base of that person cares so much about that person that they're going to attack anybody that comes near that person and that says anything negative about it. It's the same thing happening right now. There's the same concept is happening. You've got people that are very loyal to the people that they listen to, and they care about everything that those people say. And you have it's a gossip style reporting that surrounds them instead of talking about the ideas themselves. And because people want to cancel them and keep them from talking to each other and make sure that they don't get on big platforms and actually have a place where they actually get challenged, they all continuously grow their same fan base, and it does the same sort of thing over and over and over again, and you get nothing but gossip slop. It's boring. It's boring, and we shouldn't accept it at all. You shouldn't be really engaging with it. And the people that I keep arguing with about this is like, look, if you really disagree so vehemently with what Tucker Carlson says on a regular basis, then the best way for you to have that, not have this problem, it's actually the same issue that happens with Andrew Tate of all people. If you don't want to hear it, then stop talking about it. Okay, like if you want, the only way to fix this problem is to starve it of the oxygen that it is. The outrage machine that you launch every time they say something you dislike does not bolster your point. All it does is increase their reach in the algorithm because their name is a trending word is used more often.
Like, stop engaging with the retards. Like, that's it. I don't really care what the Tates represent. I don't care who they are. I guess there's some people that have made the argument that saying, like, well, the youth, especially the male youth that are coming up, they're looking for leaders, and they end up stumbling across Andrew Tate. Like, I'm okay, fine. I'll talk to them in 10 years when they wake up and pay bills and pay taxes for 10 years. Like, it's really like lowbrow, like stupidity. I don't care about personalities. I really don't. And like, I wish you guys well, but I don't care about you, and I'll never care about you. And like, nothing you say will ever impact my life at all. And so like, I don't know, like follow them, listen to them, don't. I don't care. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. The people who don't know you that tell you what you should or shouldn't do, and they don't know you at all, you should be highly suspect of people like that. They don't have your best intentions at heart.
Well, the other side of this is like, so the people Now, this is not to say when the way that I'm talking about this does not mean when people say something that is like actually really, really ridiculously stupid that you shouldn't say that was dumb, that they shouldn't have said that. That's not what that means. Like, I mean, and I'll give you an example of this. Okay. So Candace Owens, a few months ago, when we were talking, this is in the middle of the Iran stuff, right? Where we were about to bomb Iran. And she came out here and said, you should get dishonorably discharged. Go get a dishonorable discharge instead of going and fighting in a war against Iran or something like that. She said, just told that to all of her people. That was like, okay, that's absurd. Okay, like that is a harmful concept to even speak out loud. That is ridiculous. Like a dishonorable discharge on your record is terrible. Okay, that's bad. Don't say that kind of ridiculous stuff. That's stupid. You shouldn't have said it. You should be embarrassed for having said it. But the problem is not stuff like that. Okay, it's the constant, oh my God, all he's talking about is something that I don't like. So I just want to talk about it all the time. And then every time he says anything about it that I don't like, I'm going to go clip just that section, and then I'm going to share that clip and talk about how much I don't like it. I mean, these people are so popular on both sides of this, by the way, that there are entire groups of people that their entire content base, their platform is only about how bad that person is. Okay? Like that's their entire platform is talking about how bad these people are and how much they don't like them. That's ridiculous. Okay? Like if your entire platform is talking about how much you hate somebody else, you don't have a platform. You're just leeching off of the person that you dislike's platform. That's all you're doing. Okay, and I maybe that's you don't like that, but that's reality. Okay, like there's a reason I don't spend any time talking about this stuff, and we don't really normally talk about the constant bickering that goes back and forth, because the reality is that you're not going to grow something new, something interesting, something useful, something beneficial to people, something that brings value to people by constantly talking about other people. Okay, that's just not how it works. If you want to grow something and do something interesting and do it on your own, and then once you have a sizable audience, if you want to get in a fight with somebody, then, Matt Walsh was great with this. Like the other day when he was talking about Mehdi Hassan, like this guy said something dumb and he just crushed him really quickly. Like it was very funny. It was great. I loved it. Every minute of that was hysterical. Okay. But that's a whole different thing. He said it once and then he moved on. Like Matt Walsh probably isn't going to talk about Mehdi Hassan ever again. Like it's the people that constantly, all they do is talk about the same stuff, and they talk about how much they dislike that person or dislike this person. You're wasting your time. Okay. Like just, if you want to have a debate, don't say we can't platform them and we can't talk to them. Get them on somewhere and talk to them. Talk to them for an extended period of time and prove that they're wrong. Okay? That's the only way to fix the problem. More conversation, not less.
No, I think that sunlight is the best disinfectant. So, I'm not interested in anybody that wants to bury a conversation or make everything about a personality. Like, you're lowbrow, you're kind of retarded, you have no original thought of your own, you just want to make your existence a conversation about somebody else. And we're not talking about like government or whatever. We're talking about like the cult of personalities on the culture war front on YouTube or Rumble or X or whatever. Like if your entire existence is simply naming other people's names without actually like producing any kind of evidence and saying like, well, I mean, if they talk about the same thing this person's talking about, then they're all included in this like retarded whatever shit. I'm sorry, like, you are not an interesting person. I don't really care what your commentary is on other people. What is your commentary on these current policies? What is your commentary on this oversight investigation? Do you have commentary on that? Well, no, I didn't read that. Yeah, I know, because you're a lowbrow, retarded, stupid person. I don't care what you have to say. And I reject, on the left or the right, I reject that you make the conversation about another person versus having any kind of like independent and original thought on anything at all. You're a waste of my time. I will not spend time on you. You're dumb.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I mean, and if you want to go look and see what the opposite result, when the result is when you don't have any conversation about the actual ideas, you can see it, what happens on the left. Okay, so the left is the perfect example of this. The left doesn't allow any debate. They don't allow anything to talk about. And they go after anybody that has the opposite of debate. Okay, like Fetterman is something we talk about a lot. And this is a clip from Fetterman earlier when Fetterman has been one of the only people, we've brought it up many times, that he's one of the few Democrats that's actually willing to go out there and talk about different issues and actually go against the party. And this is his comments on this sort of stuff. And he's talking about Erica Kirk last night at the TPS USA event. So here's Fetterman on this.
I also got a chance.
Oh, if the audio works, there we go.
To watch Erica Kirk, and how heroic that is, and the courage to after her happened to her husband as a widow to be able to get on that stage, regardless of whatever your political views are, you absolutely have to celebrate and applaud her for the kind of courage to do that now.
So Fetterman, just by saying that, he's the only person on the left. Have you seen any person on the left other than Fetterman? And I don't even know if I'm going to consider him on the left. I think he's about 8 seconds from putting on a MAGA hat. Have you seen anybody on the left come out there and talk about how great Erica Kirk is? Of course not. Why? Because they don't allow that. It's not allowed within their party. They're not allowed to dissent on any issue at all. Nothing. No dissent of any kind. And Fetterman is one of these people that they're already talking about primarying this guy. They don't care. Doesn't mean anything to them. They're not going to let it happen. They're not going to let you to go outside the party line. So if we want to live on the right, where we actually have real debate and actually have real discussion, we need to stop doing this ridiculous going back and forth bickering about personalities. And we need to actually allow it to happen, because it's not a bad thing, guys. The fighting is not a bad thing. Just let it happen, but stop trying to tell people that they can't do stuff, because it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work at all. You're not going to convince anybody to stop talking about stuff just because you don't like it and you don't want to hear them talking about it. It's never going to work. It's going to have the opposite effect, and it's going to be a negative effect for you the more you do it.
Yeah, I literally don't care whether or not you feel comfortable with a back and forth or not. It's not my job to make you feel comfortable. I don't know you. You can act like you know me. I don't fucking know you. I don't owe you a damn. And if you want to come out here and act like, well, these two people are fighting, and I just want us all to get along, and I just want us to argue or not argue about some things, and how you take one position or another on the side of these two people fighting, that's like PR 101. This is simply spinning up an audience and pitting audiences against each other. I don't care. I literally don't care. You are above average intelligence at best. You would never have any kind of impact on what I do on my life. Therefore, on my social media, I don't give a shit what you think. I don't care. I literally don't care. And if your entire essence is going after somebody else and not actually providing any kind of substance of value, then I really don't give a shit what you have to say.
Well, and so I want to end this.
I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I want to finish this section, finish talking about this, because I'm very we need to move on to something else here, because the best way to think about this, though, is there's a bunch of people on the right that keep claiming that this is, oh my goodness, if we keep fighting and keep having these issues, it's going to be the end of everything. And it's the despair aspect that is just oh my God, we're going to break apart the coalition. MAGA is going to get divided, and we're all going to lose. We're all going to die. It's the same nonsense that people have been saying for years now. We said it months ago when it was the walls are closing in on Trump, and now it's the base is collapsing. That's what they say now. It's guys, the despair aspect is not the way to go forward on this. And this is J.D. Vance last night talking about the despair and how it's it's something that you shouldn't do, because we're winning, guys. Okay, let the arguments happen. We're winning anyway. Okay, it's not something to despair about. So listen to J.D. Vance here, and then we'll move on to a new section here.
I know not all of you are Christians, but for the Christians out there, I think that it is very important to remember that despair is actually a sin. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to criticize. It's okay to think that things aren't going well with a particular issue, but we are called to never give up hope. But I think one of the critical lessons of Charlie Kirk's life, to his dying breath, this was a man who never lost hope in his creator and never lost hope in the United States of America. So let's remember that and carry that forward as a way to remember him. And the second thing that I want to say is, in line with despair being a sin, look, I imagine that I can tell most of you apparently agree with a lot of what I said. I'm sure that a lot of you disagree with some of the things that I've said. That's okay. We don't need, in our political movement, people who agree with us on every single issue. We got a couple of questions about Israel. We got a couple of questions about the National Guard deployments. We don't need somebody who agrees with us on every single question or every single issue. What we need is people of good faith who love the United States of America and are willing to work hard to save it. So when you look at all the accomplishments you look at the accomplishments of the last 9 months. We inherited the worst border crisis in the history of the United States of America. We shut down the border, and net immigration is 2.5 million lower today than it was in 9 months. That means the total number of people that have been sent out of this country is 2.5 million. We have 2.5 million fewer illegal immigrants than we had. That's a great accomplishment. We inherited a terrible affordability crisis from Joe Biden, and I'm not going to tell you everything's perfect because it was a real bad situation that we inherited, but inflation is consistently below economists' expectations, and we are chipping away at it every single day. We inherited an economy where we had the largest trade deficit in the history of the United States of America. In 9 months, Donald Trump's tariff policies have cut the American trade deficit by over half. That means we're making more of our own stuff, and we're actually employing American workers to do it. And all that is to say that very often, Charlie Kirk would call me and he would say, not attaboy, but he would say, do more, do more, do more. And I listened to Charlie because he was a dear friend and because I knew that he loved this country. My point is, the best way in your life to honor Charlie Kirk's legacy, it's not to despair, but to hope in the future of this country. If you disagree with something, then get involved in the movement to save this country. If you think that we could be doing more, then pick up the phone and get involved in the effort to change our minds and change the future of the United States of America in the process. My friends, the rebels of Ole Miss, despair is a sin. Do not give in to despair. Let's keep fighting to save the United States of America. Thank you, and God bless you. I know.
So there's J.D. Vance to end that off there. And that is exactly the best message. And I think, again, J.D. Vance, this is why the future of American politics, this is the messaging that is the correct way to think about it. Stop despairing. Stop freaking out about all sorts of things, about things that people are arguing about against each other. Stop doing that. Okay? Get involved. If you don't like what's happening, then go figure out a way to try and change it. Okay? Go figure out a way to try and get involved to change it. Try and get involved in a campaign, like you said. You can go do it. Okay? You can figure out a way to get involved. There's a million different ways you can do that now. So, and that's the way I think we're going to go on that. And we could finish out talking about J.D. Vance and the future of politics. Guys, this is the Political Theater, weeknights at 9. Thank you guys for showing up for this evening. If you guys want to share this space out for the final 30 minutes of the show, we always open it up for open mic. So if you guys want to request and come up here on the show and ask questions or commentate on anything that you've heard so far, you are welcome to do so. If you want to leave a comment down below, we do read all the comments. And if you guys want to make sure you share this out, go to WCDispatch.com and subscribe there. That's the best way you can support us. You can always go to our profiles on X. That's the other way you can support us. We have subscriptions available on our profiles, both myself and Trash do. If you guys want to come up here, so you are welcome to request for the final bit of the show. And we'll probably just riff on some funny stuff that has happened over the past 24 hours for the last bit of the show here. Unless people have specific comments or anything they want to ask, you are welcome to come up on the show. If you're listening on all the other platforms, to join the show, you need to go to x.com and go to @WCDispatch or @TrashDiscourse and join the X space. And if you want to request, you can come up that way, and that is the way you can join the show and ask questions and have any part of the show. You are welcome to do so. And we're just going to hang out here for the last bit of the show, and people have something to say, you're welcome to come up here and join us. But there was some funny stuff that we did see today. Specifically, did you guys see that the White House posted the yet another sombrero meme, which was just fantastic? I loved it. It was very, very, very entertaining. I loved that. That was very fun to watch. The sombrero meme was great, of Hakeem and Chuck Schumer going by to get candy, and they were given sombreros instead. I loved that. That was very funny. But we've got Jacktron up here on the stage. You go right ahead, Jacktron.
Hey, so I just found the perfect name for Welch. It's, I would say, Trans Freddy Krueger.
I kind of like that. That's pretty damn good, actually. That's pretty funny. Trans Freddy Krueger. I actually really enjoy that. Guys, if you were up here on the show, just put your hand up and I'll go ahead and call on you. So Kyle Smiley, you've got your hand up. What's up, Kyle?
So this is actually breaking news from Truth Social. Trump just posted about talking about the filibuster and breaking it. So I don't know if you've had a chance to see that yet.
No, I haven't. Let me go check this Truth. There was also something that just
there's
came out.
actually two of them.
Okay, let me go look and see what's going on Truth.
So.
Okay, let's see here. As I've said for a year, Obamacare is a disaster. Rates going through the roof. Do something, Democrats. Because of the fact that Democrats have gone stone cold crazy, the choice is clear. Initiate the nuclear option, get rid of the filibuster, and make America great again. Okay. I mean, look, I agree with that.
I mean, we talked about that like an hour ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the problem is that the Democrats, this is exactly what JD Vance said about earlier, right? I mean, JD Vance is saying the left would have done it. Yes, they absolutely would have. Okay. They would have already gotten rid of the filibuster and done all this stuff. So yes.
Well, okay, so they already did, and then Mitch McConnell warned Harry Reid. He said, if you do this, we're going to push through a bunch of judges. And they did, and they removed the nuclear option for judges. We don't need to do this for the CR. We don't have to do it. We can actually fund fucking SNAP for even these people who are absolutely, like, unappreciative of what taxpayers provide to them. We can already do that, like, tomorrow. Like, we can move money. The point is not that. You don't get to put us in a corner anymore and expect us to capitulate or fold because maybe you lose 2 or 3% of a vote in a short term on a poll, but in the long term, nothing changes. Don't give in. Don't don't bring out the nuclear option on a clean CR, of which even like people who are registered Republicans don't actually like the continued resolution of spending. We don't. But I'm simply saying that, like, if there are people that actually need to have SNAP benefits, just pass a clean CR and we will negotiate bills moving forward. It's not complicated. I, I, I refuse the premise that, well, maybe we should consider the nuclear option and just put through the CR through the Senate while Democrats, that's what they want, dude. They're trying to play Republicans into a corner again. They expect them to fold. Don't fold. Hold the line. Nobody who is a serious person actually believes that are actually is going to be really affected. The only people that are going to be really affected is the remaining people who they've held on to for decades and decades and decades since the Civil Rights Act, that they're not going to receive their government handouts. I'm sorry, I don't care anymore. I'm a net taxpayer. I owe money more above and beyond what I already pay. I'm, I do not let
Trash, you are rubber banding badly.
the Democrat senator.
Trash, you are rubber banding badly.
Yeah, well, it's the fucking space. I'm so
Can't hear you, Trash. Anyway, so guys, there was a follow up. There was a follow up to this, to the previous one where you're saying that. So the follow up on this was, I just got back from Asia where I met the leaders of many great countries, including China, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and others. It was a great honor to meet them, but more particularly is to see America respected again, respected like never before. Great trade deals were made, long-term relationships now exist, and money is pouring into our country because of the tariffs and, frankly, the landslide results of the 2024 presidential election. The one thing that kept coming, however, was how the Democrats how did the Democrats shut down the United States of America, and why did the powerful Republicans allow them to do it? The fact is, in flying back, I thought a great deal about the question about why. Majority Leader John Thune and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson are doing a great job, but Democrats are crazy lunatics that have lost all sense of wisdom and reality. It is a sick form of the now legendary Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. Oh, it now comes from losing too much. They want trillions of dollars to be taken from our healthcare system and given to others who are not deserving, people who have come into our country illegally, many from prisons and mental institutions. This will hurt the American citizens, and the Republicans will not let it happen. It is now time for the Republicans to play their Trump card and go for what is called the nuclear option. Get rid of the filibuster. Get rid of it now. Just a short while ago, the Democrats, while in power, fought for 3 years to do this, but were unable to pull it off because Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona, never the Democrats fought so hard to do something because they knew the tremendous amount of strength that terminating the filibuster would give them. They want substantially to, well, this is a very, very long truth here. They want to substantially expand, pack the United States Supreme Court, make Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico states, thereby automatically giving them 4 Senate seats, many House seats, and 8 electoral votes, many other highly destructive things. Well, now we are in power, and if we did the same, if we did what we should be doing, we would immediately end this ridiculous country-destroying shutdown if the Democrats ever came back into power, which would be made easier for them if the Republicans are not using the great strength and policies made available by ending the filibuster. The Democrats will exercise these rights, and it will be done the first day they take office, regardless of whether or not we do it or not. In addition to all of other things we would get done, such as the best judges, the best U.S. attorneys, the best of everything. This concept was years ago when President Barack Hussein Obama and the former majority leader Harry Reid, in order to take advantage of the Republicans. Now I want to do everything to take advantage of the Democrats. So very, very long truth there, ranting about this. But again, it's kind of the same point we've made many times tonight, at least, talking about the problem with the Democrats is that the Democrats just generally, that they would have already done it. He's right. They would do it. They would do it in a second. Okay. Like if they had taken, if Kamala had won and they had taken the Senate and they had the House, okay, they would have already removed all this stuff and they would have done it anyway. They would have 100% done that. There's no question about it. Go ahead, Jacktron. You have your hand up.
Oh, I have my hand up? Oh, I didn't realize I had my hand up. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't have a comment, if anybody else has a comment before we close down here, I think I have one more request from somebody coming up on the show.
Actually, wait. I think I do remember something. I saw that Julie Kelly just put out a report from, I sent it to you. It's about Boasberg in May of 2023 prohibiting Verizon from notifying several U.S. senators and one House member that Jack Smith had subpoenas for their phone records. Verizon complied with the subpoenas and the NDOs with the exception of Ted Cruz. And then apparently there is a response that Verizon had from on the 24th to Chuck Grassley, but Kelly calls it pretty pathetic. But she says the one that AT&T gave was pretty good. So I sent you those if you want to take a look at them. They're kind of long, so I don't want to just spend all the time reading them out.
I'll take a look at them, and that's something we can check out tomorrow. We can go over that and look at some of that stuff. Jess, you came up on stage. What is up, Jess?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, the app just crashed on me right now. Like, it's been doing that today, so yeah.
It's always doing that. Like the X algorithm in the X app is always having all sorts of issues. This show has been having nothing but issues for months on this, which is actually part of the reason we moved over to WCDispatch.com and why we moved over to YouTube and everything else, because we were having so many problems. So make sure you guys follow us on all those other platforms, by the way. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, no, I was just listening to you and Trash talking, and I there was just one thing that he said, about the EBT and stuff. They're giving it to like illegals, like they shouldn't be able to get those benefits because it's Americans that actually paid for it with their taxpayer dollars, and I think it should only be for American citizens only and not for them, because Americans worked hard all their life.
Well, listen, so you're right about this for a number of reasons, but the biggest thing to me that I think is ridiculous is that even if they're here legally, like if you're a legal immigrant coming to the United States and you need food assistance, like you need taxpayer food assistance, like why? Like if you're coming here legally and you're coming here for a good reason, like it's one thing if you're like very, very new into the country, but if you've been here for an extended period of time and you still need it and you've been on it the entire time you've been here, I see that as a significant problem. Okay, but more importantly, going into the EBT stuff, like the EBT stuff is crazy. Okay, like the amount of food and random stuff that you can buy with it is absurd. I don't have a problem with having safety nets for people to be able to give them general sustenance and food. Okay, rice, beans, whatever the hell they need, meat of some kind. That's fine. Okay, but why on earth can you buy Oreos? Why? Why can you buy beer? Why can you go to a restaurant at all? Okay, like I know that there's restaurants that accept EBT cards. I know there's lots of them that do. Why? Why on earth is that a thing? That should not be a thing. We should be able to fix it. And I think there's another interesting thing about this. The Democrats are not realizing that this government shutdown has actually made a bunch of people pay attention to this and actually start like, hey, wait a minute here. How much money are we doing on this? Like it's not good. By the way, there's another thing that there's a couple people that I know that actually have been talking about this pretty extensively because they believe that the EBT programs are good things and they like them and blah, blah, blah. Well, but there's another issue that a lot of people don't know about is that about 12 million people were added to the EBT program underneath Joe Biden. And like, it's a massive number were surged into the EBT program. And my guess is that that's probably a significant portion of those are probably asylum seekers. And we need to get rid of that too. Okay. Like if you're coming here to seek asylum, you shouldn't just be getting tons of cash and free food and free rent and everything else. Like if that is even a thing we're going to offer in the first place, then that asylum program only needs to last a couple months. And then after that, if you're not approved, you need to leave immediately. Okay. That just needs to be done. And we need to stop paying for it because all of this stuff that we're shelling out for people. And I agree, American citizens should not be paying for anybody who's here illegally. If you're here illegally, you should just be deported. I don't care. Like you shouldn't be getting assistance of any kind. You should be deported instantaneously. So if there's a way we could shut off and figure out if there's anybody who's illegal that has healthcare here, or has EBT, that needs to be turned off instantaneously. That's without question. Nope, don't care. Fire it. Get it out of here. We're not doing it. All right, guys. If there's of course, if there's anybody else who has questions for the end of the show here. And this is the Political Theater. We only have a couple minutes left here on the show. If you guys have anything else to say, you want to come up here and join us. Anybody else in comments on the other platforms? I'm trying to read through some of this stuff now because there's a bunch of comments all over the place. So if you guys have anything else to say, you can always come up here and join us on the show for the last couple minutes here. But if not, we will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, there we go. We have one request. Okay, so who is requesting now? Savannah. Okay, Savannah. What is up, Savannah? Can you hear me?
Hi, I wanted to ask you your opinion on Nick Fuentes.
My opinion on Nick Fuentes. I actually spoke extensively on Nick Fuentes earlier, actually.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Do you like him?
I don't dislike him. I don't really have much of an opinion on him.
No, that's fair. A lot of people don't.
I just don't, it's not the content that I consume. Again, there's a bunch of people who hate this guy and despise everything about him for whatever freaking reason, and I don't see any reason to. He's just a person who has he has his own platform and his own audience. And listen, I don't agree with some of the stuff he says, but that doesn't mean anything to me. Like I disagree with all kinds of people. That doesn't mean anything to me. Generally speaking, he has his own audience, and the idiots that are out here screaming about him all day, every single day, only grow his audience. Okay, like that's the funny part about it. They don't understand that.
They clip it so much. They just clip farm. To be honest.
Well, but the point, and this is so if you weren't in here, we talked about this extensively about the people.
I wasn't here. I just joined.
Right. So earlier we were discussing the problem with the people that just constantly attack personalities. And what they don't understand is that if they really didn't like the person and they didn't want their platform or anything like that to grow, then they just stop talking about them. Like all you do is talk about these people, and you help their names trend and grow because you're talking about them negatively. But that doesn't matter because all press is still good press. It doesn't matter if it's bad or not. You're still growing their audience because you're sharing more of their. There's some people I know that they hate everything that guy says, but they will spend 4 hours talking about him.
They're
like, what are you doing
at that point?
Well, I mean, it just doesn't matter. Like the problem is they're actually working against their own goal. If you don't want this guy's audience to grow, then you shouldn't spend 4 hours talking about him. You shouldn't have entire shows dedicated to how much you despise him. Like you're just making him growing his platform. It's not helping you. It's not benefiting you at all.
I agree.
Well, that's my opinion on Fuentes, though. So if you have other questions, you're welcome to ask.
I think that's a good opinion on him.
I mean,
I agree with you.
I've known of Fuentes for years, and to me, he's just kind of a fringe character on the right. I mean, that's just who he is to me. Like, it's not someone that I follow regularly. He's just another podcaster. But there's a whole group of people that just absolutely friggin' hate him. And to me, honestly, that's what kind of makes it so that he grows. He grows because people hate him so much. And it's like, that's not going to assist you in making him, trying to quiet a voice by telling everybody how much you hate this guy. All that does is make people go watch his stuff to see why you hate him so much. That's all that does.
That's true. And I've seen some people who say that, like, they hated him just because of what other people were saying, and then they started watching him, and then they side with him.
That's the deal. And that's what my point is. Like, the deal is that you a lot of these people like Fuentes or people, they live in a world where their clips is what define them, even though that's not normally the entire sustenance of their arguments or points. They find one clips where they're riffing or doing something like, I mean, if you took my show and you go out and pull out some of the riffs, there's some of this stuff that we just go and rant about people for 20 minutes and it's just a bunch of, satire essentially. But that doesn't really matter because if you just clipped that and only played that, people are like, wow, that guy's extreme. Like, no, it's just, part of a riff. Like, but people don't care. Again, the bigger point on this is that if you sit there and you scream about somebody and how much you despise them all the time, it does not help you shrink their audience. It makes it grow.
Exactly. And I don't know. I'm happy that he's where he is at right now, to be honest.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't pay a lot of attention to Nick Fuentes. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people follow him. I know a lot of people like him, and I know he has very, very loyal fan base. So for whatever people like, you can have whatever criticism you want of the guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the deal is that he has built an audience. Whether people like it or not, he has one. Okay, he has an audience. He's got a very loyal fan base that works with him and talks to him and he interacts with them and he interacts with them on a regular basis. So you can hate him all you want, but you're not going to convince his loyal group of followers to just suddenly turn on him because he said something that you don't like. That's not going to do anything. It's not going to work.
Exactly. I agree. Well, thank you for telling me or talking to me about it. I was just curious.
Of course, no problem. All right, guys, anybody else who wants to request and come up here for the last bit of the show, you are welcome to do so. Jess, you have your hand up. You can go ahead and make a comment real quick, and if not, we will show up and end the show for the evening.
No, I wasn't going to say anything, but I was going to say this has been a good space, and I just enjoy listening to you guys.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me.
Of course, Jess. Thank you for coming up here. We have one more request. It looks actually we have two more requests now. People are now actually requesting. A bunch of people are requesting. Okay, that's fine. Okay, guys, let's see here. I think I brought Keymaker up here first. So go ahead, Keymaker.
Hey, Walter. Good talking to you again. It was a great show as usual. I'm usually catching your stuff now on the other platforms. I'm usually not even on X as much. Usually I like the quality on the other platforms. I hate that X has so many problems, but you guys were talking about Nick Fuentes. I wanted to kind of bring up like my thoughts on Fuentes. I don't have any problems with him or what he does, but I think that anybody, especially at his age, that starts to get a big following, they get kind of cornered in a position now where even if they didn't want to, they have to understand what leadership is, like what true leadership is when you have that many people that listen to you. And I think that he makes some of the flaws. He's growing and he's young, but I seen this similar stuff happen with Candace and it's just, I really think that people don't realize that once you have a voice, now you have to really decide, like, it doesn't really matter how you got the voice. It could have just been rumors. It could have been BS. It could have been you gaslighting. It could have, however it ended up happening, right? But he has so many followers now. I think he has a really good opportunity to carve something out in a way, that a true leader would. And I don't know which direction really he's going to go, but I can kind of see that he's growing as well. I kind of see that he's kind of, getting more into a lot of the, particulars of a lot of these different subjects. And I think that we're watching him grow, if that makes sense to you. Like you know what I mean? Like we're watching something, a tree, that's blooming, so I don't know what's going to come of it. I hope that, he heads in a more positive direction, because I think that's what all leaders should do is try to head in a more positive direction once you get a big following. So, but
maybe,
yeah, I want to hear what your take is.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised by that. And there's a bunch of people that I really do get annoyed with, the people that immediately assume that because of, a million things that people have said, and especially someone like Nick Fuentes, who has literally been on shows, on live, almost every day since he was 18. Like he's been doing this forever now. Like it's not like he's some new figure. He's been doing this a long time. So of course you can go back. Like if you go back and if it was possible to go back and say, like, pull the things that I was talking about on a regular basis when I was 18, that would not go well. Okay. Like it would just not go well. I was saying dumb things all the time. Like it is not a great idea. It wouldn't be great for me. But the deal is that he's been on the air forever, so people can go back and pull all sorts of stuff. And he could have been riffing, he could have been joking, he could have been in satire. None of that stuff's important, okay? Like, the deal is, where does he stand now on issues? And the only thing people always scream about right now is, oh my God, he doesn't like Israel. Like, well, whatever, okay? Like, I don't care what he doesn't like. That doesn't mean anything, okay? Like, not liking him for an issue is one thing. The only thing I can criticize people like this on is when you don't know what you're talking about, or when you don't actually know the debate. That's not a good look for anybody. Like I said earlier in the show when we were talking about this, there was a debate he had against Dinesh D'Souza, and Dinesh D'Souza knew history better than he did. Okay, he wasn't prepared to answer some of those questions. But that's a good debate. It wasn't a negative debate about his personality. It wasn't a negative debate about his issues. It was directly related to the factual subject that they were discussing. That's a whole different different discussion. But the deal is, because he had that debate, he could probably go learn more about it, and then he may be even more prepared the next time he has it, which is, again, to your point of the growth.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit of that earlier, and that's really what I hate about not, like, of course we have free speech. I'm not going to agree with everybody on everything that they've ever said, right? But like, for him, I really think that he, for whatever reason, he was kind of like shunned away from some of the bigger platforms, and some of the people really didn't want to debate him. They didn't really want to get into some of the topics. But I think that not only is it going to help him, right, but it can help other people too. Because now, if you watch that debate with him and D'Souza, I mean, I've been watching D'Souza long enough. Like, I know that when it comes to history, this guy, he, he's not. He knows history very well. But I think that I think he's growing, and I'm kind of excited too, right? Because I know that you're not, like, I'm not who I was at 20. I'm not who I was at 25. You know what I mean? Like, and as you grow. Yeah. I'm hoping for him, and I'm positive.
Well, listen, the bigger part of it that I think is more important specifically on this would be, if he is growing into, if he's going to change and start to actually, mature or something, or change the way that he messages or the way that he talks. Would it be better for him to be in a scenario where nobody that will, like, no mainstream person will platform him at all? Would that be a better thing for him? Like, if you do that, he's been essentially sidelined for many years. Essentially, I've heard him talk about it, and he gives a bunch of reasons why it happened, and whether or not any of that's true or not, I don't know, and I don't care. The deal is that now, if he's already got a platform, and you're saying, okay, we're not going to let him be platformed by anything else, well, then you're just going to get more of the same. You're not going to get him in a scenario where he has challenged by somebody that may be able to change his mind and be able to help him grow into something else. You should just put him on and talk to him and see if you can actually get him nailed down on an issue. And if he gets nailed down on an issue, maybe he'll change his mind. Okay, but if you give it, if you give it another but here's the thing: if you give it another 5 years, like, I think he's he's in his mid-20s now, right? But if you give it another 5 years or so, if you get it another 5 years, when his mid-30s, his opinions are going to be solidified. They're not going to change then. So you're not going to be able to change his opinion now. But if you're willing to actually work with him and talk to him, you might be able to get him to grow something. I don't know. I mean, I know some people do change when they're in their mid-30s and their opinions evolve and whatnot. But generally speaking, most of the time, by the time you're in your mid-30s, your opinions are pretty much set. You're not going to really change a whole lot of them. But anyway, I am curious to see where he moves with his platform. I mean, I don't really consume this guy's content, okay? And I know a lot of people like to talk about the guy all the time.
His riffs are amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
Walter, that's why I like him. His riffs are actually pretty good. Look, I tell everybody, like, I challenge everybody, even if you don't like the person, like, at least listen to some of their content. You know what I mean? That way you can kind of solidify what your views are on them. Because I've even listened to Tucker recently, some clips that people had. There's a lot of good still in Tucker as well, right? Like, I think that he's sidelined on some topics.
This is just another the same point. I mean, it's like, look, if you don't like somebody, fine, but you have to give me a reason why you don't like the opinion, not the person. I don't care what your opinion is of the person. Give me the opinion on the idea. That's all that matters to me. Okay, but we have got other hands here. Joe, go right ahead.
Hey, Walt. Hey, I'm a huge fan. Hey, I love watching you on Jake Novak. Can you help me understand, like, over the last week, there were like 100,000 job layoffs. Like, help me understand that?
Yeah, I can give you a really easy answer to that. We have just stupidly, as a country, moved into almost an entirely service-based and administrative-based economy. And then someone figured out a wonderful program called AI, and now all of those people are irrelevant. So that's going to be a big problem. So, we created an entire administrative-based economy, service-based economy, and then, unfortunately, we have now developed a technology that's going to make it so that we don't actually need all those jobs, because all the people that did pencil pusher work, an AI can do it faster, better, easier than you can, and that's only going to increase. It's going to be a problem. We need to figure out how to fix it.
Wow, that hurts. Oh, so I thought like Amazon laid off like 20,000 people, and I figured they were like delivery drivers. But you're saying they were AI, they were like tech service guys.
Well, I mean, you just think about this, and let me give you an example of something, okay? Right, like a big law firm, okay? Big law firms have entire departments of their law firm that do one thing: document review. And that means that paralegals or, new lawyers, they sit there and read over documents to look for legal language that may be beneficial for them in some sort of legal case or whatever it may be, right? Well, if you don't need that anymore, okay? Like, you don't need 25 guys working on a case to sit there and overanalyze every single page to look for something. You just take the whole document, dump it in AI, and say, hey, find it for me. And it does it in 3 seconds, okay? You just lost 20 jobs, okay? It's ironic that we spent 20 or 30 years telling everybody in this country that they had to go get a college degree, that they must get a college degree because it is the only way that you'll ever be successful. And all of those jobs that they're essentially going to be, what are those middle-level management type people that are doing those administrative type jobs, AI is going to replace a huge swath of those people. Like, the people that are actually not in trouble right now at all from AI, from robots or anything like that, are trades. Okay, like if you're a mechanic, or if you're a plumber, or if you're an electrician, or if you're somebody that works with your hands on a regular basis, AI is nowhere near getting near you, okay? Like, it's not. And anybody who tries to tell you that Optimus or some robot's going to come fix, your water line, you're fooling yourself. They're nowhere close to that, okay? Like, you're not going to be anywhere near. Trades are probably 20 years from any sort of autonomous use of doing it. Plus, let alone the fact that how are you going to justify that? So, like, even if you had, like, say, a mechanic field, are you going to have a robot that costs $200,000 that might be able to do the same thing that a technician that works for you? So you have a $200,000 robot that maybe can do some of the stuff that a technician that works for you can for half the price. Okay, so like a technician, a standard technician in the country now is probably $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Depends on where you live. Maybe it's higher. But you think about that, so you got multiple years before you'd even reach the cost of the robot, and they probably do a better job and do it faster. So there's no way that that's going to be close yet. So the service-based jobs are the ones that are really going to be wiped out by AI quickly, because it's all administrative-based. It's quick actions. It's moving folders, organizing crap on in documents. Like, none of that stuff's going to matter anymore. AI is going to wipe that out.
That sounds devastating. So one quick more question: what percentage of people will be replaced, and what percentage will be looking for jobs?
And that I don't know. I mean, it is a big problem though, because
sounds like 75% or more will be looking for more jobs.
Well, I don't know specifically the number, and I can't give you that number because I don't know. And the other side of this is that you have to remember that it's not just that. Like, it's not going to be as simple as they're just going to wipe out entire swaths, because usually what happens when technology like this comes out is that those jobs, now that they don't need them, they move them into something else. So, like, if you don't need document review anymore, maybe you need attorneys to go do something else, and they can handle caseloads or something. Like, maybe you don't have to fire all of them. They go to something else. We don't know, okay, is essentially the real answer there. You just have to think about it that when you see massive layoffs coming out from somewhere like Amazon, where they move 30,000 people out, it's not because they just, they got rid of their delivery drivers. That's not like the people they would get rid of. Like, those delivery drivers are, as far as I can tell, in constant demand. They still need those people. But it's, if you can get rid of, you can save 5% off your bottom line by getting rid of a bunch of mid-level management people that all they do is push folders around because you have an AI program that does it, they probably did. And there's the big companies are going to be the ones that make those cuts the fastest. So, okay, we have another hand up here. So, see here, Sapphire Mama, what's up?
Good evening, Walter. This is the first time I've spoken to you, but I've been listening to you for at least 1 year. You are amazing. You trash. I mean, stealth. I just love everything you guys have to say. And I must tell you, I was so happy to hear that your baby was born all right. And congratulations on your beautiful daughter.
Thank you so much.
Both your kids are beautiful. I wanted to talk about something with you because my ex-husband was an illegal that had authorization to work here, and they're making it harder for people that have been already in the process than the people that just came over within the last 4 years. And so it's interesting to see that he has to go in every 2 years, right, to get the work authorization. And I was going to suggest something to President Trump if this can be done through Congress. I don't believe that just anybody should be able to go get a Social Security card as something to go along with the work authorization. I believe the first thing that should be done is that they get an ITIN. And if they start working and if they go through the process, when you get the green card, that is when you should get your Social Security card, because we have a big problem. I know people that received right now in the last 3 years, they received their documents, you guys, in the mail. They didn't even have to walk in like my ex-husband to get the Social Security card and to be vetted in the Social Security office. So literally, they got the work authorization and the Social Security card, and it just happened to my friend because I said, "You've been in the process of the visa U, with the visa U, which is about, if someone hurts you that's an American and things like that." And she's been in the process. She was shocked when she didn't have to go into the Social Security office and received the Social Security card with the work authorization at the same time. She was in absolute awe because she knew that everybody before her in her family had to go into the Social Security office to be vetted. And, you're on camera, all kinds of things. And so I really believe the process of authorization to receive a Social Security card, that should not be so. It should be an ITIN, just like everybody else that goes into a bank has an ITIN to open up a bank account, not a Social Security number. Because we don't know if those people in the next 2 years are going to be criminals. We don't know if those people aren't going to reauthorize and just get, hide somewhere in the United States. Nobody knows what's going to happen with them, no matter what process they're going through, legally or illegally, because to me, all those people that came through Joe Biden's runway, I call it, over the border and received those cards and Social Securities in one envelope, I'm afraid all of those people have to be deported. It just does not match up, because you should never be able to just walk into our country illegally and 1 year later or less get both documents.
I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you entirely on this problem, because in generally speaking, the amount of fraud that exists because there are illegals getting access to, and it's not just legal citizens, by the way, or work authorized citizens getting, or not citizens, just work authorized people getting access to Social Security cards. Illegals were getting access to Social Security card, and I'm actually convinced personally that there's a very large percentage of illegals that were getting Social Security numbers, and I think they were being sold. And I think that that's probably going to be something that they find at some point. I mean, when you heard from Elon Musk when he did the Doge stuff and he found that there was, 7 million people or something like that, 7 million people that were, 7 million random Social Security numbers that were still active, even though they were 120 something years old. What I'm telling you, what I think was probably happening because of that was that somebody within the within the government, or a whole ring of people, who knows really, was taking those numbers, and they somehow got access to the database, and they were just selling them. Okay, and I think that's a huge problem. I think that e-check needs to be instituted everywhere. You shouldn't be able to get work authorizations, and I think in general, what needs to be done is it needs to be more difficult no matter how you come into the country. I don't care, and anybody that comes over the past 4 years, unless you came in of a normal standard legal visa where you came in the normal way. There's not not an H-1B, not some specialty visa, not some high-end visa or something like that. No, they're just like normal visas. Those people can stay. Everybody else got to go. I don't care. I know people may not like that idea, but to me, any of the asylum seekers, all of the asylum seekers need to be removed immediately. Okay, that entire program was completely botched. They completely lied about it. The asylum seekers were not asylum seekers. They were welfare seekers. That's all they came here for. They came here for economic issues. They're not here for actual work. They're not here because they were being persecuted in their countries. They came here because their countries fucking sucked. Okay, like that's the reason they're here. And all those people need to go. Okay, the soup kitchen is closed. That's the way I look at it. And we don't need to keep it open. We're full. America's full. Get them out of here. And listen, I think the first step, though, really is just going to be into these programs and then have them self-deport. Because there is another problem here that people don't really talk about, but it is a major problem, is that if you can't just remove 20 million people from our economy immediately, because regardless, even if they're here illegally, if you took 20 million people out of the country immediately within a rapid clip like that, you would crash our economy. That's a problem. Okay, it would be a major issue. So what you should do, and which is exactly what the Trump administration is doing currently, is that they're encouraging people to self-deport, which is what you want, because the more people that self-deport, the economy in that area naturally grows and responds to it. As people leave, as they slowly start to pull away, they say, okay, well, I don't want to get deported. I don't want to be forcefully deported, so I'll leave normally. And then they can tell their jobs and they can do that. And the reason that you see the DHS account constantly go out there and, just they post, I call it goblin posting. It's just like, we're going to kick your door down. You go home. We're going to throw you in an alligator pit if you don't leave. Like, all of that's done to intentionally incentivize more self-deportation, which is exactly what you want. Because I was actually really worried about this. I live in Springfield, Ohio, and there's a massive population of Haitians that they just dumped in this city, okay? So they just dumped 30,000 Haitians in a city of 60,000 people. It's caused all kinds of friggin' problems, all right? So my worry was that they were going to shut the money off for that, and then they were not going to come in. Like, what were they going to do? If they just shut the money off immediately for these people, then you have 30,000 people that are mad because you've been giving them government money the entire time they've been here. You created 30,000 criminals in my city overnight. I was worried about that, but it looks like the Trump administration knows what they're doing. And they're doing it to incentivize self-deportation, and they're going after anybody that's already overstayed on their asylum claims, or maybe their asylum claims were never adjudicated because they never showed up. So fortunately, it looks like they were handling that properly. So we'll have to wait and see how many people, but it looks like we are currently trending in net negative migration for the first time in my lifetime. So that is the best news that we can have so far. Okay. Anybody else who wants to come up here on the show, we've got a couple minutes left here. If you guys have anything else to say, you're welcome to join the show. Just request to come up here. If you're on the other platforms, it is again at x.com. Just go to @WC Dispatch if you would like to join the show. If not, then we will shut down here in the next couple minutes. But thank you guys for showing up this evening. And I thank you for all the listeners who came up here and asked questions. You guys are always welcome to do so. I do want to make sure that we have a section of the show at the end of the night every night where it's about 20 or 30 minutes of having at least questions from the open audience. And I do try to read all the comments, guys. It is difficult because I don't know if you can sort of see it if you're watching the live stream here, but I have like 20 friggin' monitors around me. It's like impossible for me. Like, it's like, I got the Substack chat up on this one. I've got the X space over here. I've got the live stream in front of me, and I got a monitor above that's got another chat in it. It's all over the place. But anyway, I appreciate everyone who shows up to the show, and I thank you for all the listeners that subscribe to this content. And if you're interested, by the way, there's something new that I'm doing here on the X profile. If you subscribe to the X content on my X profile, I'm actually going to start having exclusive content specifically for people that subscribe to that, and then it's just going to my profile on X. That's going to be something new that I'm going to be working on. I've got a bunch of, I'm going to do educational videos on some of the tools and stuff that I do to do some of my work. And I think that'd be helpful. I was also going to do some cybersecurity educational stuff on there as well. But anyway, guys, we will be back tomorrow night for Friday Night News on the Political Theater. Thank you guys for showing up, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks, guys.
Some folks are born with a liberty spark. Their hearts beat red, white, and blue. When the anchors sneer and the cameras bark, they turn the lens right back at you. Truth bound, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not the party line sons, no, we ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Some folks inherit silk-lined halls, spend our sweat while preaching share. But when the tax man wraps his knuckles raw, their mansions suddenly look bare, impaired. ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're not their banker raised hares, no, ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're the vigilant ones, so. Yeah, some paint stars on press room lies and send the common men to toil. Ask them, how much truth will you trade tonight? They mutter, more noise, more noise, more noise. Ain't for sale, ain't for sale. Not the theater's pawns, friend. It ain't for sale, ain't for sale. We're America's steadfast one. No, we won't be spun.